the launch of the 2025 spring VESL season. It's upon us. You know, last season was incredible. Launch of the Knotwork, coins now being in play, all the things around the STEM competitions and esports that we evolved to the next level. First, we're going to shout out the state champions last year. In esports, college football, TBK out of Shelby, Overwatch, Audrey Kell, Rocket League, the esports legends, and Super Smash Bros, Myers Park, Picamar. On the STEM front, 3D printing and the boat, Becca the Destroyer. Digital marketing, Truly I Dream. Ag tech, Dizhamashin and Director, 8923. Tough names, state champions. Drones, NCVA Saturn. Robotics, Riot, and game design, Ego Dempsdog. These are the state champions. Let's hear it for them. Let's go. Who's going to be the state champion in this new spring season that's starting today? You know, on Varsity Esports, we got Rivals, Brawlhalla, Valorant, Mario Kart, 2K, Fortnite. If you're in esports, you've already signed up. Deadline was this last Friday, so go to the Esports Hub, look at your schedule, your rule books, and then start practicing for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday games. Thursday night lights, 5 p.m. every Thursday. Make sure you're there to watch live the esports action and the STEM action. But don't worry, there's more esports opportunity that you can check out just by going to the server and seeing what the community is ultimately talking about for next steps. On to Varsity STEM. 3 season-long pathways start. They're going to be incredible data analytics, cybersecurity, and content creation. These are the topics where you're going to meet like-minded folks, you're going to compete to win, and you're going to learn some valuable stuff in the end of the day. So don't forget to join and where to go next in the spring 2025 VESL season that launches now.
The VESL Community League is here, bringing you the biggest and most epic esports action of the season. We have the VYC, or VESL Yearly Cup, that has Apex Legends, Splatoon 3, Auto Chess, and Rainbow Six Siege. We also have the weekly Rocket League 2v2 circuit and Smash Bros Ultimate circuit to keep the competition fierce every week. Do you have what it takes to dominate? Well, sign up now in the VCL to prove it.
Welcome to The Knotwork, VESL's platform for esports, career skills, and so much more. Once you've dropped in, you'll be prompted to set up your profile. Don't worry, it's not too much work. Just connect your Discord account, add some parent or guardian information, and you'll be set. You'll also be alerted that we need to have our teacher contact from your school come verify you, just to make sure you actually go there. If you have yet to be verified, please reach out to them and ask to check the status of your account. Once you're done with the profile setup notification, you'll be on the social feed. This is the feed of everyone in the Knotwork. You'll be able to see posts, comment, like, share, all of the stuff you're used to. Next, we'll check out the Esports Hub, our one-stop shop for esports information. Right off the bat, you'll see the schedule. It shows you what games your school has coming up each day, as well as who you're playing. There's also a team section showing you who's in your school that's also on your esports team. And finally, there are the rulebooks. These are extremely important to know for whatever game you're playing, as there might be a rule in there that you don't realize you're breaking when you're playing. So make sure you check them out. Now we have the leaderboards. This is where the season standings will be for each team in each game. There are also STEM leaderboards for our collection of career skills. Just as with esports, you'll be able to see the standings of each team in the challenges. Speaking of career skills, we have challenges. These are your season-long challenges based around career skills that are not only fun to learn, but will earn you micro-credentials along the way. Join and compete against other schools to make it to the top. Now you might have noticed numbers at the top of the page. Well, those are coins. These are what you earn along with micro-credentials for completing challenges and competing in esports. Once you have a decent amount of those sweet, sweet coins, you can head up to the coin shop to redeem them for one of our awesome prizes. Well, that's the Knotwork. Time to start your career today.
A tremendous demo from the Knotwork. Thank you so much, y'all. Hope that you saw some of the improvements that you suggested from last season. We're always looking for ways to improve the experience, so please feel free to reach out this season. All right, that pretty much wraps up for this kickoff video. Just want a quick note, please check in every week on the Knotwork. There's going to be new and exciting ways to participate, new prizes, lots of great stuff to do. One final note here, actually, if you join the VGC server, check back tomorrow, February 18th, and February 19th, we're going to choose one student that reacts to a post to potentially win 50 gold coins to spend in our amazing coin shop. So be on the lookout. Thanks, everybody.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to week number 1 of the VESL Spring Season 2025, and it's officially week number 1. Now, you may not recognize me from the preseason last week. I'm still Septilence, joined this week by Time to Light, and while we may have somebody new in the booth with us, the games are going to be the very same. Valorant into Marvel Rivals into Brawlhalla. But before we get into all that, TTL, how you doing, man?
I'm excited. I'm thrilled to be back with VESL. It's been a little while since at least I was on one of these broadcasts. It's nice to be back. And I'm really happy that we're seeing variety of games inside the same broadcast. The Thursday Night Lights are bringing all of the lights. Throwback to that 2010 banger.
Yeah, I like it a lot as well because it's like we've got a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter, and then a platform fighter, or just a traditional 2D fighter, and it's exciting to see that happen because those are, while two of them share a bit more similarity than the third, they're all quite different games. And I think that's a really cool opportunity where we get to sit down and watch all of these games unfold as we see these students play to the best of their abilities. Now, which students are playing tonight? It's probably something a lot of you may be wondering. So in Valorant, we're starting with NC Virtual Academy Blue versus Palisades Purple. So the same ends of the color wheel. I believe I am colorblind, so hopefully that joke is correct. But regardless, CTL, I'm excited to see these schools. It's been a while since I've seen either of them.
As somebody who can see colors, yes, you are correct. Spot on, my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing how this is approached for both squads. I don't think we've been given a note on what map we're headed to yet.
Not yet. I don't think it's been chosen yet. I think they're going to do bans in just a minute here.
Yeah, they should get that one done in the lobby. So seeing that one done, I'd like to see where this goes, and then we could probably approach what agents we'll see. But I'm just hoping for no Ascent. That's
honestly, always no disrespect to Ascent, but I think you and I just haven't cast Valorant as much as we have. We've seen it a million times, right? It's like again, we love variety. We just talked about that, so it's like we very much want to see the variety of those map choices. And I do think I was explaining this to Hail Monkey Man and kind of just sharing my opinion on this last week of best of ones in Valorant in particular are so fascinating because the outcome in a best of one could have been a different outcome in what could have been a best of 3. Like you've really got to put your money where your mouth is early. You have to win a map. You have to pray it's a map your team can play well, and then you have to win within those 26-ish rounds. And that's really frightening for a lot of these teams because some of them have been out of school for a couple hours. You don't know how much time they've had to warm up. You don't know how often they've been able to play this week, and they have to jump right in, compete in one map to make or break. Like that's scary. That's tough.
And you also do it most of the time against a team you don't know about. This is an unknown variable for a lot of rosters. And I know this is high school. You need to get your algebra done early. But a lot of these kids haven't taken algebra, depending on how far advanced they are in math, since like 8th or 9th grade. And for some seniors here, you don't know the unknown variable until it's presented right in front of you. Now, these streams kind of help the case for teams playing down the line against rosters.
Yeah, very true.
Broadcast. But this is, pre-week 1. This is week 1 of play. We haven't seen a lot of these rosters. They haven't seen each other. This is a lot of players playing together for the first time. And similarly, they're playing against opposing squads who they haven't seen at all. So they're getting that bit of information for the first time. It's a very awkward way of approaching a map such as this or a series such as this, but it's one where they have to adjust quickly.
Yeah, you have to adjust quickly. It's simply going to be sink or swim. We're going to find out which one of these teams is going to be able to do which one of those superlatives in just a little bit here. Now, I believe the map we're going to is going to be Lotus, which atop itself is even more surprising due to the fact that that's one of few 3-site maps in the game. And that's really going to add a new, quite literally a third variable to the circumstance. It's not going to be that 2-site that you see on most maps of the game, but instead a 3rd-site variable is open. This is going to open the door, I think, for some solo players, some Cypher or Killjoy players to show us how well they alone can hold down a site.
And looking at some of the stats, especially here on Lotus, those 3 sites alone certainly help the attackers.
Yep.
But my favorite thing talking about specific maps is always agent stats. Where teams decide to go, what the high schoolers specifically are doing as compared to the pros. And the number one thing I want to talk about, they're picking up the Omen. Most selected agent on the map by a country mile. Nearly 80% of games. Omen is selected. That is no different.
Yeah, Omen is, just a steadfast agent in a lot of maps in this game. We see Omen on Ascent, we see Omen on Haven, we see Omen on Breeze or Fracture when they're in the map pool. Like, this is an agent that, it's funny because I think his ultimate is one of the least effective in the game, but it's the rest of his kit that really puts him above and beyond, and it just makes the opportunity to go into a site to take or retake without just charging into the line of fire. Omen's built really well to cover those sites with smoke.
So what's the other decisions across the board? We've already seen most things locked in on one side. NCBA bringing in Saturn. I like the Neon selection. It could be a little awkward on the defensive side to start, but with these 3 sites, it helps you rotate to the long side. I would be surprised if we see Neon play the B site just because of the speed and the fade. A lot of times you'll see teams on this map select the fade solely because of how much information you can gain from 90-degree angles as compared to Sova. Here, I like the decision, but we'll see how it plays out against the other side, where there is a very heavy lack of information gaining.
Exactly. Yep, I agree. I mean, I think there is this unique sense. You know, I talked about the ability of Cyphers and Killjoys respectively. Well, one team has not chosen a Sentinel at all, I believe. I may be incorrect on that, but I think our defending team at this moment doesn't really have anybody to hold down a site by themselves. That indicates to me, at the very least, a very fast, hyper-aggressive play style that may be coming to the forefront pretty early. However, if you want to play aggressive, it's a lot easier on the attack. So with this team starting on the defending side, that's going to make it difficult to work with.
So NCVA Blue starts on the defense, Palisades Purple with the attack to kick things away, and it's a Cypher on the attack. Lack of a true Sentinel, I'm going to say, for that defensive side, but the true Sentinel, like literally the true Sentinel on the attacking side. I don't know how I feel about this Cypher selection. If you started defense, I'd say pick it every time, but it's
gotta be a comfort pick, I think.
Yeah, and you're running Ghost here. I feel like Lego Legend is more than likely just the player who's
I agree.
And is the one who's going to go Sentinel. Watch out for them to pop off in this.
Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. They're showing a lot of early signs here, going to Ghost, going Cypher on offense. We see a lot of that value early on to see if that Lego Legend is going to live up to the name. And I do want to say Lego Legend's a very funny gamer tag. I'm quite fond of that. And he goes in early, though. Check this out. C site wide open. B site as well. The rotation coming in from NCVA down through that attacker spawn. We need to see if Palisades Purple are going to be ready for it. And it looks like they absolutely are, already getting the position here on Mound. First shots fired. Oh! There it is.
It just was the information game. Lego Legend had the tripwire up. Hanny picks up a couple kills off the back of it, and that honestly should be just about it. I'd be surprised if NCVA Blue has anything more damage. But Hanny looking for 4. No, it'll be super easy to take away. Flawless first round for Palisades Purple. Knew what they wanted to do. They had the coverage to do so. All in all, clean round.
Yeah, flawless on the PR there. I mean, that is going to be a great cleanup from Palisades Purple. And already, I mean, I'm not going to beat the horse here, but like that's such a good example, like you said, of the Sentinel and the importance thereof. They didn't know they were going to C site, and then they got found out on their rotation to C site, all because of Lego Legends' great tripwire placement. Another one already on the line. The team even showing it off for us in this moment. But let's see if Palisades Purple can keep that energy up. I'm sensing the energy right now of, well, it worked once, let's just do it again.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's
exactly.
The old motto,
exactly.
Right? At this point, you also have better weaponry. You know that NCVA Purple is like that herd mentality, where they're going, or NCVA Blue, herd mentality, where they're just looking for more group play. And this is a perfect dive in. You combine your Dizzy, and you got the site.
Site already online here. It's just C site wide open for Palisade Purple. It wasn't broken. It looks like it's not going to break, at least not yet. 5-4 advantage. Spike officially planted. Palisades Purple weapon advantage as well. This is going to be a tough one for NCVA to turn around.
I'd be surprised if they even do anything other than just go for kills.
I agree.
They have the weapon lack of superiority. Iceberg finds a nice kill with the classic in hand.
I hope that's a We Bear Bears reference.
Right?
Oh, Marvel's Tokyo finds one of their own, but I mean, I think you said it best there, TTL. It's just going to be those consolation prizes. It's in circumstances like that where a round feels losable that I often tell my students, just try to find as many elims as possible. Sure, it's a simple thing to say, but when you know you're not going to win the round, it's about making it expensive for them. And I always say the number to make it expensive is usually 3 eliminations. NCVA found 2. You know, it's not terrible, it's not the best, but it could have been worse.
Better than 0.
Amen.
That's the number I always go with. No mathematologist, but it's better than 0.
Always better than 0.
The general rule of thumb for a round where you're winning is if you're gaining economy, you have 3 players or more alive. If you're losing economy, you have 2 players or less alive.
Yep.
And that real litmus test of a number 3 is the difference maker in a round like that, especially considering NCVA now has the bye. That's the important part, now where we stand. If NCVA can do something with a spy, they're in a great spot. But if Palisades Purple wins their bonus round, problems are going to start to mount if they haven't already in a 2-0.
Yeah, the 3-0s where that snowball really begins to gain traction quite literally with Palisades Purple. gauging the C-site approach. Now, it looks like NCVA is making the proper call of they're probably going to go C-site again. And it looks like they go for a triple defense there, but look at this approach up through mid. The Gecko is going to be able to get into B-site, which is now the wide open site in its own right.
But they don't take it? Interesting decision not to
Very much
Lego Legend up on A, though, and that was the reason why. You find the kill, you pick up the gun, disengage, and you've got this site. This is where things can snowball away from NCVA Blue, not only because it's cold outside, but because Palisades Purple have the better weaponry now, and they have the player advantage.
Better weaponry and player advantage on the board here. Palisades only a 1-player advantage, though. This is the closest we've seen it be since a 5v5 at the beginnings of the round. Ice Bear did find one, but Lego Legend on that immediate turnaround makes it 3v2, now 3v1, now 3v none, as Lego Legend picks up a 3K there for Palisades Purple. It's a player we predicted early on was going to be impactful, and by golly, do they continue to be so.
For sometimes you only need the confidence. Other times it certainly helps when you combine your, we'll say, healthy amount of confidence with the proper aim. Lego Legend, we'll say Bond, James? 7-0 double?
Yeah, perhaps 7-0 double.
This is a nice
A clean start, and this is where Palisades Purple can start to kind of swarm the game out of NCVA Blue's control. You lose that bonus round as a defensive team that has already lost the first 2 rounds. Now you have no economy. Palisades Purple are combining that economy with the wins they've got. They didn't really have to purchase in the previous round, and a couple players stayed alive. It's benefit after benefit after benefit, and NCVA Blue just has not had the response they need.
Not yet. 3-0 on the board. It's a fast rush into the C site once more. Ultimate going to be grabbed by Palisades Purple. Paranoia out. Double smoke up. TP into sight. 1 player already down. The numbers on their side. A neural theft out. They officially know exactly where you are, and they know it is not currently on the C site. I do not think that's where that trip was supposed to go, but it is going to be another spike plant down for Palisades Purple. NCVA continue pushing this rock up the hill.
It just doesn't seem to be a response. I mean, in this round, we weren't really expecting a response from NCVA Blue. Lack of weaponry, pistols, sure. But here, you'd like to at least come back and do some economic damage, if any at all. Nice start by Ice Bear. You got the stinger in hand, but you can't find a headshot, and Saturn will go down after finding only 1 kill themselves. All in all, again, a clean round from Palisades Purple. 3 players stay alive. Yeah, get the spike plant. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy indeed. Yeah. Yeah, at least on one side. Everybody on the Palisades Purple is going to be happy in a moment like that. And the timeout from Gingerbread here makes perfect sense. Again, not to always make it back to my players, but this is the exact time I say, hey, if you lose 3-4 rounds in a row, it is important to take that timeout, not only for the mental discussion of like, hey, you know, let's reel it in a bit, let's figure out what's going wrong, but also just to ice the kicker in a sense, like to really take that moment, force the team to play a little bit slower. And with Palisades Purple having this time, I mean, I'll be honest, TTL, just the way they're playing, this is going to be a tough beast of burden. I mean, this is going to be a hard team to break because they are really coming through repeatedly, finding those victories on every round. And with all due respect, none of these rounds have been particularly close yet.
And this is the perfect time to take a timeout. It's either this round or in 2 rounds when you're going to take that first timeout. You've lost 4 in a row. I mean, you're not going to do much in that previous round. I don't think you've learned all that much from round 4 that you're going to learn anything into round 5. But take round 3 and maybe the tail end of round 2 and figure out what you were losing from those objectives. Number 1, they haven't had the overall map control. 3 sites on the defensive side does become challenging, especially when you have proper lurkers like your Sentinel of all. But if you're NCVA Blue, I mean, even as a coach yourself, what's that conversation apart from maybe click heads a little better?
I think first and foremost, the conversation needs to be stop 5 stacking, stop gamble stacking each site, because it really seems like they're doing that pretty often. And I do think there's a lot of opportunity to be gained from a situation like that. But I do think it's more important to have somebody on at least 2 sites. And we've seen the issue of, you know, oh, what if they go to that 3rd one? Well, that's a gamble stack in its own right. Of you're playing on a 3-site map. I feel like early on we're seeing that NCVA Blue isn't particularly comfortable on 3 sites, or at least not with the composition they're bringing to the table. A Rolling Thunder out early toward that B-Link scenario, or the A-Link scenario, excuse me. I think we just need to see NCVA perhaps a bit more communicative on which site they'd like to take, and just be more confident with the plays they make. It's such an easy thing to say, but that confidence goes a really long way for teams in situations like this.
It's easy to say difficult in practice, and this is exactly why. Look at how much coverage Palisades Purple has.
Yep.
They've got on-site, they've got A-Link because they took straight through A, they've got the coverage from C as well if needed, and they don't even need that, to be honest with you, after that single kill. The Rolling Thunder just to set things up, crossing your T's, dotting your I's, and doing your due diligence, as I love to say. This is what a good team can do. A couple kills back, the surprising shot from the rocket launcher finds at least one. How much more on top of that? The answer does not seem to be all that much. Marvel's Tokyo in a 1v2.
Wow.
And if they found the first, they were going to be swung immediately by the second. Not as clean as previous rounds. Good signs of life from NCVA Blue.
I agree.
5-0.
I agree. I think that was the first round that we saw NCVA not all 5 stand on the same site, and I think it went a really long way. They were able to approach from different angles. They weren't all just walking through the same door one after another. There was a big opportunity for the team to push into a combat scenario without just all 5 walking into the same line of fire. And I think that was a super critical level of success from the team at a time that I genuinely believe they needed it most. This may be an opportunity for NCVA to come through and find a pick early on. I think something that we're seeing as well is NCVA needs to just be holding angles. They're very jumpy. They're very skittish. They're very like, oh, they're not at this angle within 3 seconds. I have to go to the next one. And I think just patience on the defense could really reward them well.
So Palisades, again, crossing their T's, dotting their I's. They're even clearing corners in C main. That's how confident they seem to be that NCVA Blue could be anywhere. Sometimes that's all it takes. Making sure you can cross it off later. And, I mean, you clear the site entirely off of 2 pieces of utility. From the shadows is going to be used to try and get a C long. It was for information, but it doesn't do much. And it's another spike plant and already a player advantage as well.
Spike plant on the C site here, and there's that moment of intensity where you need to be forcing yourself onto the C site. One person needs to be there. We saw that the fade got flashed once, it just didn't go back. I don't think you need to be rushing in and going for the hero play, but I do think you need to be looking at that consideration of sharing the intel with your team. We're not seeing NCVA rotate very fast off of what I assumed the comms would be. There's a lot of big opportunities for this team to find success, but we need just a little bit faster action off of it. And I know that I just said patience goes a long way, but we also need a team that's willing to find an opportunity to strike. And right now, NCVA, it's Ice Bear just trying every round to get those eliminations, but just not able to do it themselves. 6-0 for Palisades Purple.
I feel a little bad for Ice Bear. Yuli put up one of their own smokes, and Nizu was just sitting inside of it. There's nothing you can do when your own teammate puts up a smoke. You're not expecting them to be inside of it on a high ground when it created a one-way. That's the benefit. Also, a wild coincidence I want to bring up before I forget. I didn't do this earlier, but I just got a notification from LinkedIn News that James Bond has a new boss. And I only say that because I brought up Bond.
We just referenced Bond, James.
I thought
that's very funny. That is quite the coincidence. But I mean, right now, it could be single 0-7 in just a minute here if Palisades Purple is able to win this round. 5v5 on the board. A lot of ultimates in the pocket of NCVA Blue, and I wouldn't mind to see this Neon just rip this. Just get out there. Even finding one means you did your job.
At least show presence towards C, but the walkover towards B, how quickly can this turn into success? That's the real question. Uli with 1, and they're going to use the overdrive on Saturn, who actually finds Wama Beast through
Here we go. This is what I wanted.
Spraying. And it's working. Sometimes taking all the shots in the world can be beneficial if you're landing at least a few. They have given up most of the site, and there will be a spike plant in the process of all this, but at least a double player advantage, and you know where most of these players are.
Yeah, these players are going to be coming out large and in charge. The Neon ult found one. NCVA has a numbers advantage for the first time this set so far, this entire map. It's a 5v3. They have to play their cards right, though, because a 5v3 is certainly no guarantee of victory. Ice Bear is going to be able to find another one. So now it's 5v1. It's up to just one player who cannot get in the way in time. Saturn's defuse on the board. Better late than never. NCVA officially their first round win.
Flawlessly, no less, and they do so off of textbook swinging potential. Find the opening pick and a solo on A. If you lose that, I think you lose the round. I'm going to be completely honest.
I agree.
If it really goes down on that far side, your Marshal's gone. You've given up the A site largely because of the presence on B, and you got a quick rotation, you lose the round. But because you pick that up, you get an opening pick as they walk in on B, and you combine those two things with all the swarming that you've already done. Thank you very much to the flank, by the way, of Marvel's Tokyo. You swing on time, you communicate to an effective couple of eliminations, and NCVA Blue just do not allow any breathing room for Palisades Purple. Even with the spike plant, they use the 2-player advantage and they wait. That patience you talked about a couple rounds ago turns into the round.
I mean, I think we're really starting to see just a little bit of, this is going to sound like slightly rude, but I think the point being made isn't. It seems like maybe they just weren't warmed up when we started. It seems like maybe these players just didn't have the opportunity to warm up. They're going into the matchup trying to win the rounds off just muscle memory alone, but as these rounds have come through, their shots have become cleaner, their comms have become stronger, and I think NCVA Blue has a chance of putting at least a couple more rounds on the board here. Now, unfortunately, best case scenario for them is tying going into the second half. They can make this 6-6 if they won every single round for the rest of the first half, which is possible, albeit unlikely, especially with a monster now on the loose. This Fade has to try and get out of the way, just barely able to do so. Look at the cooldowns being used, desperate to find that elim, and they actually do not. So still 5 up. I think a spike plant is inevitable, but possible retake just around the corner.
The one thing that's the problem with how Palisades Purple are taking, you said it, so many cooldowns being used, because they've used so many on the way in, they won't have as many to hold on the way out or making sure that there is a way out. NCVA Blue uses a Rolling Thunder. They now have the space, and Palisades Purple, all those cooldowns they used to get in, they no longer have those cooldowns to try and stay in. From the Shadows is going to be used. And to the backside of Defender spawn, no less. Saturn finds 3, but there goes a spray through the middle of everything. They can't Saturn finds 4 players looking for the ace. They're actually sitting on the mound outside C. They won't find that. Nizu finds a couple consolation frags, but a nice retake from NCVA Blue and a couple individual moments of prowess from Saturn.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Saturn having 7 elims, 4 of them coming from that previous round. So a true pop-off moment from a very talented Neon player early on in the series. It's 6-2 now, so that lead has been cut 33%. NCVA Blue, though, I mean, it's a comment you just made up. Palisades, I feel like Blue used a lot of cooldowns to get in there.
If you continue to use those cooldowns, you can get in. You're going to get site control. But if there's an ultimate, sometimes only a single ultimate, Rolling Thunder, for instance.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, they're going to get back in, and they're now going to have site control, probably with more cooldowns than you are. And those abilities are going to start to swarm out of your own shot. I didn't even see him, and I have X-ray vision. What is that?
We can see everybody, and somehow we still missed that they were standing there. A beautiful shot, though. 5-4 advantage. Now, NCVA Blue has a 0% success rate of winning rounds where they lose the numbers advantage. So we're going to have to see if that continues to tell true, especially now that it's 5 up. Just kidding. 5v4 once again.
Only temporarily, though. You need to find a kill early if you're going to move through that, and you won't.
Oh.
Lego Legend on this little flank was supposed to be a lurk, maybe into a flank on the post plant, and kind of just cut off the rotation of Uli. This is a near textbook round from Palisades Purple to respond with, and honestly exactly what they needed. Saturn's trying to put a spanner in that work, if at all possible. They find at least one. The fast lanes to try and gain this space, and they do so, as a matter of fact.
No way. No way.
They're at least getting it to half. There's a possibility this round falls away from them, but 3 players at 3 separate Y angles, all swinging at the same time for absolutely no reason. Can Saturn get it in time? Yeah, they've got more than enough of it. The fast lane gains them 3.5 seconds, and the 3 kills gain the final half they need. What a play from Saturn. And CVA Blue is within 3.
I Doctor Stranged every timeline right there, and that was like one of few that NCVA was going to be able to win. We saw Saturn seeing all 3 lines of fire, did not know which way to peek. We saw a lot of flicking from one to the other to the other to the other, and not really able to find those shots. They weren't sure if they were going to go for the defuse, and then the panic just vanished. It almost transferred to Palisades Purple, as they really, as you said, weren't sure what to do next. They just kind of had to tuck tail and try to change their mind on what action they wanted to take, and they found some great action there. So NCVA Blue, 3 rounds in a row. Can they find 3 more and tie us up going into the second half?
Sometimes there is that possibility to swarm multiple rounds in a row when you've already gotten a couple. But if you're going to respond, now's a better time than ever, Palisades Purple. That Rolling Thunder's going to find Uli on the backside, and that stun could get them killed. They actually tucked tail and just hidden inside their own smoke. This is perfect for the Clove. No reason to get overzealous. That Neural Theft will expose their position. Now the information's known. That could be their falling grace. They win the fight. Wait a second.
The fight, yeah, it's not won quite yet. Only a 3v2 spike has been planted, but there's more than enough time to find that defusal if they know where to look. Marvel's Tokyo has a decent flank in the back line here. I want to see if they're going to be able to do much with it. Flash goes out. I would have loved to see the fault line instead, to be honest, but they try to hold on to this utility. Spike has entered the second tick phase now. Diffusal. Possible. Ooh, just not sure where to look. Wow, come on. One left, 2v1. It's going to be after this race to try and save the day. They have the double swing. Go for the defuse, hold the angle. You hear her. No, timing diff. Oh, and there it is. Hanny with the 3K clutch, guaranteeing the Palisades a lead going into the second half of the map.
I can't believe that they don't check that far side. You're going down the angle on the left side. There's no reason to kind of over-dedicate yourself to it, especially when you know they're around the site island.
Well, she heavy stepped around the first corner. They knew which side of the site she was in, and then they kind of just forgot.
Yeah, that was the main problem. You're thinking, are they going to double back, especially with where the spike's planted? The only thought process that I think will take you the other way is if you're in your head thinking, wait, Henny's on the raise, they've got the blast packs, they imaginatively use it to get high ground over top of the spike on that small box. Now, in that case, it doesn't work. It is what it is. It doesn't cost them too much. It is just around. Nice Nightfall. That finds 3. Free information here. Well, maybe not free, but certainly discounted information there for NCVA Blue. But this is not a big buy for them.
Not a very big buy at all. Which could be worrisome unless they get some kind of hero rifle early. A lot of utility here on the A side, but I don't know if the 1v4 is going to be winnable. We see Omen from NCVA Blue go for the rotation in. It's exactly what he needs to be doing at a time like this. Lego Legend sets up a trip in the back. You love to see it. Closes off that rotation, or at least half of it, from the attacker's side. Ice Bear's about to find that out the hard way, I fear. Ooh!
From the overdrive up above, at least gives them something to work with. But Saturn's just sending it, and with the overdrive, you cannot blame them. Nizu finds one on them. Uli try to tap it and go for the stick afterwards, but Nizu with the second. That should just about do it on the round. And yeah, even with Marvel's Tokyo finding one there, it is a 1v2. It's possible, but I don't know if plausible is the correct term to attach. Nice little bit of tech there with the Shadow Step for Nizu.
Yeah, A for effort. Yeah, that was really not a bad performance there through and through. I think going in, it could be ideally 8-4 in the half, 9-3 though around the corner. Could be mildly disastrous for NCVA, but again, that is an attack team comp, right? We talked about the struggle of the defense that they were going to find, and clearly the proof has been in the pudding on that belief. So let's see if NCVA is going to be able to turn that around early on the attacking side, because if they don't, they're going to run out of rounds to try.
Problem is, if you go down 9-3 here, your defensive composition is only slightly better on the attack, and it is outweighed by the fact there's a Cypher now going to be on the defensive side. The real lack of a Sentinel here has cost a lot for NCVA Blue. I like the Thrash decision. Doesn't find the Omen, but at least knows he's there. Lego Legend gets turned on. What a shot from Ice Bear. At least finding one. Makes it a bearable round here for NCVA Blue. This last round of the half, even with a lackluster buy, is not clean whatsoever. Nice sound fake there. Saturn had to look to their right, at least for a quick second, but not fully baited out of that position. Marvel's Tokyo in a furious ability battle here with the aforementioned Nizu, but they can't really do much off the back of it. Nizu just turns into another Saturn trying to do it themselves. They get flashed as soon as they swing, and it is indeed the 9-3 half.
Saturn jumps right out into that flash. So little time to do anything other than eat that bullet early. And 9-3 on the half, so the Palisades only a couple of rounds away from being able to emerge victorious here on this best-of-1 Lotus matchup.
This best of ones, if you don't find a second player to join Saturn up there in double digits, probably this or next round, I don't know how quickly you're going to be able to get it. Now, a couple benefits for them on the attacking side. Number one, Clove is a good selection as a little bit more of a hybrid agent.
Yes.
But the Fade needs to step up in terms of not only, you know, frags, 1 in 10 objectively needs to be better, but you have to be able to find more information that you can actively utilize. The number one example of that is like second to last round of our first half. The Fade, we saw the Nightfall used, and then nobody did anything with it. All you did was, oh yeah, hey, there's 3 players around C, which I probably could have told you at about a 50% accuracy rate anyway.
Yeah.
You don't go off that ultimate. That's a good ultimate to combine with the Rolling Thunder. Maybe just to combine with a retake would have been nice or useful on that B-side retake. But here, it's not even available. Or at least there, it's not available.
I think I agree with you pretty heavily here that this is the round that's going to make or break the rest of the game. We need Blue to win this on the attacking side to A, prove that their comp was built for attack, and B, show that they've got more gas in the tank, because if Palisades goes into double digits here on the pistol round, statistically they are expected to win the following due to the economic advantage the win gives them. So I think this is really going to make it difficult for NCVA if they're not able to win this round. But I will say I've seen more patience out of them on the attack than I did in the 12 rounds of defense that we saw. And it pays off.
Hey, there's the start. Only up from here, it seems. This pistol round, you said it, arguably the most important round, and now they're actually going to try and turn that kill on A into a swarm of B.
30 seconds left.
And arguably the greatest decision ever. You've seen Lego Legend, who swings haphazardly and surprisingly lives to tell the tale. You're getting the spike down in the middle of everything, but as you get a little overzealous, you've now given up that player advantage and now given it away just to say. Marvel's Tokyo sees a goo of blue in their FOV, and that could just be the round it is indeed. What a retake from Palisades Purple on a pistol round, no less. Who buys that many abilities?
Yeah, honestly, I think that was the surprise for NCVA is, oh my goodness, they bought every ability in the book right now. I mean, there was just a lot of value to be found on that matchup early on. Unfortunately, though, it did not work in favor of NCVA, who are going to be falling 10-3 right now, desperately running out of time to try and find a victory.
It's basically the same story as the previous round. Now, benefit is Ice Bear found double digits. Problem is they don't win the round off the back of it. So even with that, we'll say misnomer of success, they have to be able to turn this. It's going to be basically the same story for the next 3 or 4 rounds. It is win the round or you're going to lose the map more than likely. Now, this one, I don't think that's accurate for this specific round.
I agree.
The only reason is because they did not buy.
Yep.
If they bought here, then it's a must win. Because they didn't, as long as they get a spike plant, as long as they make it difficult for Palisades Purple, that's okay. It's not good, it's okay.
I think they've made the right choice as well. I do want to put that out there. I do think not buying here is smarter, because you're stuck. You don't have a lot of utility to work with. No matter what you buy, they're going to buy better weapons. They're going to buy better utility. You might as well pass this round over the best you can. Ideally, you don't buy anything there. I don't even want to see SMGs at a time like that. I think you just go full rifle, leave it, take it or leave it the way that it is. And it needs to be left at a moment like that. The team wasn't really sure what to do on the approach. Another timeout going to be happening as they recognize this. More so than the last 2-3 rounds we were just talking about. This is the one, if they lose this, I believe the game is over.
No, this is getting the right decision. This is arguably the perfect time to call this timeout. If you call it next round, you're not going to be buying. If you call it here, you have a guaranteed buy. This is a round where you can reasonably pick up the counter bonus, and you can turn it into something successful down the line. Now, is it 100%? Absolutely not. This is Valorant. You could lose against 5 pistols. I've been eco.
Very true. Very true.
However, this is the perfect scenario in which you can take that 60 seconds, call the timeout, figure out what the game plan is, because you've seen a small amount, but you've seen the defensive side and how it looks already.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of an awkward scenario, and I think it is going to come down to probably just one player. I think it's going to come down to the way Saturn is going to be able to play the matchup one way or another. They're going to try to get in there, trying to find that value early, and if they're not able to, if Saturn slides out of a smoke and gets domed within a second, I don't know if we're going to be seeing a victory here for NCVA Blue, but with plenty of time left on the clock, I mean, I couldn't have said it better. I've lost an eco 1,000 times over. I'm sure that it's always a possibility on the board, but with the way Palisades is playing, I mean, it is clean through and through. It's going to be a tough team to break, a tough eco to crack from here on out.
And arguably, it's even more difficult considering it is this specific roster.
Yeah.
11-3, you lose this round, game's basically done, barring a miracle eco against match point. This is a best of one where Palisades Purple have had very few signs of weakness, and I don't see any reason why that would be changed here, except for the weapon differential and maybe the player advantage on this site. That little couple of abilities kind of find some friendly fire, and they've still got on-site control as well. The quicker NCVA Blue plays this to the players in the back of the site, the more it benefits them. The problem is they're not pushing the issue, which usually you say is a good idea. Here, it may be that disadvantage.
Disadvantage may be the name of the game here for NCVA Blue, the Marshall in hand for Super Monkey, but it's going to be a lot harder to use as they wide swing these corners. We see the multi-angled approach. I think it's exactly what we need to be seeing from Blue if they want to win this. Could be a good timing diff there. Wow, and the Marshall finds the shot handy. Puts down another Super Monkey now with a rifle in hand. Finds a third elimination, a second, excuse me, with only Saturn left. Unfortunately, I think just like Pluto, Saturn is about to be taken out of consideration. Palisades is going to take a 12th round win, 1 to go, and this map is theirs.
The real question for everybody is how long has he been sitting on that?
Just actually, believe it or not, no one will ever believe me. Just made it up. Swear.
I believe you.
Made it up in the moment.
I believe it. I believe it. No, that was impressive. Not only from you, no.
Oh, thank you.
From how quickly Palisades Purple turned a couple players on and around the site into just a full swarm of it. It is a couple pieces of utility, again, that turns into NCVA Blue just feeling overwhelmed and claustrophobic. And there's nothing you can really do to change that, especially on a site like A, because you have to play active on the site. You also have to have a couple players disengage, and you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have it both.
The possible last round of our matchup here today. Disaster could strike at any given moment at a time like this, and you have to wait and see if NCVA can pull themselves up by the bootstraps at a time like this, put another round one on the board, and carry us at least one further into Lotus. But Palisades Purple playing it slow, covering all three sites, and just waiting for NCVA to make their first mistake.
Fortunately, those mistakes have come more often than not. Hanny getting aggressive here, finds the neon and just kind of tunnel visions there. I like the decision. Hanny finds one player, has the direct decision to go, do I take this individual fight or do I try and fight multiple players at the same time? Decides to just take that individual fight and they win it. They go 1 for 1. That is an okay trade, especially as the raise.
Ooh, Yuli is going to be able to find Super Monkey, though, so NCVA for the first time in several rounds have that numbers advantage once again. I believe every round that they have found a numbers advantage like this, they have been able to win. It has been a game of momentum through and through, each round just relying on the eliminations the teams are able to find early. Could be a bit of a timing diff here onto the A-side approach. Yuli goes for the wide swing into the smoke. Utility out. Beast has fallen. Cypher down. All the same with one player left standing. It is up to Naizu to try and break the curse here. NCVA Blue 4v1. Desperate to stay alive here on Lotus.
Naizu gets out of that seize. I mean, the wherewithal to use the Shadow Step to get out is impressive, but you only find one onto Uli. This is probably the round. I'd be surprised if they go for
No, it's gotta be.
You might as well go for an exit pick or two, but NCVA Blue, they take the site properly. Uli gets aggressive that time as compared to the previous few occasions where they've kind of just disengaged, and they take the fights to the Palisades Purple defense before it has a chance to kind of reset. Proper decision. This one turns into the round win, but I mean, now that they've shown their hand, there's very few occasions where they're going to be able to replicate that specific scenario with success.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that was going to be luck of the draw at a time like that, a critical moment of success to be found for NCVA Blue, but they've got a long road ahead of them. They have to win 9 rounds or 8 rounds to put us in overtime, let alone to go into the extension of being able to win that game one way or another. It looks like NCVA Blue, though, on the offense, it's going to be a heavy rip through mid into B site.
Problem is, as soon as they decide to try and go for it, they just get smoked off. And when a single smoke cuts you off, you've already kind of given the fact you wanted to go there. You could have just dedicated, but now you're sending it towards C. Seemingly have found a weakness in Lego Legend, but Lego Legend now has some support and has utility right in front of them. There's one, maybe a second. No! Even with the tripwire in front, Saturn with the overdrive finds that return. But with Wama Beast fighting that individual frag, that alone could seal this game.
Beast has got to be 1 HP. Quite literally, maximum 3 HP on the board for Wama Beast right now. Just so close to the edge of death there, but going to be still standing. Mizu does find another, though. NCVA Blue, Ice Bear alive. This clutch player has been the one to make the difference so many times over. Marvel's Tokyo, they have had their clutch factor all the same across the board. And with the time ticking down, the spike has to be planted. These eliminations have to be found. The timing diff, the wide swing. Tokyo finds one. Ice Bear to another. A 2v1. Can Super Monkey make or break? There's the first, into the second, and Super Monkey clutches it from the back. They're able to find a beautiful double kill, guaranteeing Palisades Purple a 13-4 victory in week 1 here at VESL.
It was the lack of information that cost them. Super Monkey, perfectly timed swing as well, because 2 players die on 2 separate sides of that angle. You end up having no information as to where Super Monkey is kind of walked off to. Lack of sound cues as well for Super Monkey, really impressive. And it turns basically into the round alone. It's being sealed right there. You lose out on Ice Bear, and a great play from Nizu. You may not have seen this. He uses from the shadows on the back side of that pillar, just on the back side of the site, and not to move anywhere outside the site, not even to move even further into the site. It was used as a scouting tool. You put it out in the open, you realize where those players are, and you cancel it. Go right back to where you were. Safe haven, no less, on a map that is not Haven, it's Lotus. But it works out, you have the information you need, and you convey that to the rest of your squad. They kind of just swarm and end the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful performance there from Ice Bear in particular. You know, we talked about Saturn having over 10 eliminations. You said somebody has to get up there with them, or this is going to be a tough series to try and turn around. And it looks like somebody was finally able to get up to that upper echelon with Saturn. Ice Bear, 14 kills on the board, both of them closely behind Hani, but look at Lego Legend and Nizu with 18 each. Nobody from the side of Palisades has below 10 eliminations.
And I don't think that's going to be something that we're surprised about later on for Palisades, where they can, as a squad, dominate everybody in double digits. Nizu and Lego Legend 18. You're looking at a 2.0 KD for Lego Legend. Now, I do have to say they really did slow down. I think they started
definitely.
at like 8-0 and 0. But impressive start, and they don't let it get to them. They don't make overconfident swings. They don't get out of sorts with each other. They make sure they finish off the kills they should. They play the game as a squad. It is a team-based first-person shooter, not an individual free-for-all game, and it turns that into the game victory. No problem, it seemed, and they turn it into success.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing performance. And, you know, we're going to go from one team-based shooter to another. We've got Marvel Rivals coming up in just a couple of minutes. So I believe we are going to go ahead and take it to a break here. Let our Marvel Rivals teams get ready, and we will see you guys right back here with our second game of VESL Thursday Night Lights in just a bit.
Esports, the industry as a whole, is replicating what we see in the NFL, Major League Soccer. Less than 1% of the people in those organizations are the players. You still have a ton of marketing people, PR, you have people maintaining the fields, you have doing the production. There are tons of careers that literally can't be filled because there's not enough qualified candidates to fill them.
There are these opportunities, but we have to be intentional about getting students to that spot. We realized that there was a real need for a statewide initiative that would provide a big shiny object that would attract students, and esports could serve that role. With the Scholastic Esports Alliance, once we opened our arena, as soon as we announced that we were going to do that, we had industry partners come in and approach us and say, there's value for us in helping you secure a really nice space.
So we're working together to bring a lot of secondary educators together to learn about these tools and how they can, bring these learning opportunities into the classroom. But really a huge part of the esports ecosystem is thinking about the career opportunities that stem out of that.
They truly are collaborating together. They're strategically thinking. They're trying to problem solve. And so all of that is built in. And the reality is that the kids are actually learning those transferable skills and they don't even realize it. So Dell is really interested and excited to partner with UNCG. We really see this as a collaborative partnership to help support our middle and high schools get interested and excited about esports and really kind of align that to those future readiness skills.
Because it's a new industry and because esports is constantly evolving, it is tough from a curricular standpoint to know exactly what you need to do. But the applied learning approach is actually running events and having students, behind the scenes, organizing the communities where all these folks meet, promoting tournaments. And these are all actionable things that you can take into the industry.
We have some of the best universities in the United States right here. We have some of the biggest companies in the world right here. So you really have the infrastructure already that North Carolina has and has proven working to help these students and these companies and these new companies come in and grow.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the second portion of VESL week number 1, spring season 2025. I'm still Subculence, joined by Time to Light. We've just wrapped up Valorant. We'll be going to Marvel Rivals in just a couple of minutes. TTL, how are we feeling about that Valorant matchup?
I mean, it was fairly straightforward towards the tail end of things. It looked really good from the start, though. I gotta say, credit where it's due for Palisades Purple. They kind of locked that one through. It looked confident for them, and they finish it off as we kind of expected out of the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a great opportunity for both teams there, but Palisades Purple really coming out on top, and it shows that both teams, while we're still in week one, have a lot to learn still. And I think that ability to learn is something that's so great about working with VESL, and kind of moments like that is putting yourself in these tournaments is the best way to find that competitive nature and to find things that are directly interactable and find ways to improve, because you can only play against your friends so often or play against randoms so often. But it's in these team settings that I feel like these students really get to grow.
It's also a position to learn for them when these games go by, especially out of when you're playing maybe outside your normal rank stack, possibly outside your normal competitive area outside the high school series. It's something that you don't get as much experience with, and thus it kind of improves you for the game outside of just these high school games. And I like seeing how different teams throughout this semester specifically will be able to improve when we get from there. But we're done with Valorant for the day, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what game.
Depending on your opinion of Valorant, right? And it's like, I do want to circle back to a point that you kind of brought up there of like these students learning things that are going to be applicable outside of just playing against these other VESL students. And that's a big part of the reason that I personally have always enjoyed working with VESL, is their connection to STEM just across the board, is that STEM has been something that has been just such a part of VESL since I was able to work with them starting last year, where it is the literal kind of real world applications to things like internships and careers that create these more hands-on experiences. Because it's the difference of like playing these video games versus kind of doing things that are video game adjacent and putting those into things that fit more easily into real world jobs. And I think it's a very cool opportunity that VESL has created such a strong relationship with STEM, especially at a high school level versus something like higher education. It's very important to ensure that these students are getting the best and just largest quantity of opportunities available.
And a lot of times with the varsity esports and STEM league, when we started here with VESL, I was always wondering, mainly because I was only doing Rainbow Six Siege and some of the first-person shooters, hey, when's the STEM coming on? And in this most recent summer, they really ramped that up, applying not only the esports side of things, but the STEM leagues to our streams as well. And how they've done so, I think, is arguably the best way it could have been done, unless somebody proves me wrong between now and maybe next semester.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a difficult thing to prove wrong, as this is something that VESL's been working very hard on. We've both got to watch it grow. We've been here for a while to see how it's working. And this season, there's a bunch of new challenges happening in STEM, pathway challenges. I think they're called mini challenges and rivalries. And I believe Ko has a little bit to say about that. So without further ado, I guess let's hear what he has to say.
Hey chat, STEM is back. Hey, I'm Ko, and here are the 3 main ways to develop your STEM skills this season. First up are our main pathway challenges. Here, you're going to find the most value with complete STEM courses and project-based challenges in content creation, data analytics, and cybersecurity. Second are our mini challenges located in the VESL Gaming Community Discord. These are fun, fast challenges to get you a little taste of what else we have going on in the season. And finally, we have rivalries. The top performing STEM teams prove why they are the best in the STEM League. They'll first compete with drones for 3 weeks before they compete with robotic cars, also for 3 weeks. And it all leads up to the final state championships, where we crown the top winning team. Interested? Check this out.
I mean, just absolutely amazing. And I haven't seen Ko in real life in about 6 months-ish, give or take, but I've got to say, I mean, his excitement just bleeds through every video. Every time you meet him in real life, he's just like that. It's his favorite thing in the world to talk about. And I mean, with drone rivalries coming out, I used to have a drone. I think we can all guess what happened to it at one point. But I mean, it's great. Flying drones has always been so incredible. And there's actually a weird amount of jobs that are related to drone flying that I genuinely would never have, like, thought about it's such an old thing to say, but like 5 years ago, the amount of drone jobs that exist now, like it's incredible. It's a very cool thing. It's a very cool skill for students to be taking up so young.
So one thing that I had the cool opportunity of doing is experiencing a guy who does normal photography and videography, but he also is a licensed under the FAA. If you want to operate a drone commercially, you have to have an FAA license to do so. He has the FAA license and does it. He's been to, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 65 countries and has operated a drone in 40 of them. Now, there's a little less regulation on drones, maybe outside the United States.
Fair.
The FAA license to apply there. But it's super cool to see the different applications and see how maybe even drone racing and drone rivals can teach students how to use those skills outside of maybe just the speed aspect of the drones. And I too had a drone, albeit it was one of those really tiny helicopter drones. And I was
so fun.
Was stuck in a tree.
Mine may or may not have hit a power line. I refuse to confirm nor deny. But something important about VESL is the pathway challenges. They were unlocked at 6 p.m. today, so just a couple of minutes ago. If you're interested in learning about that, it went live 10 minutes ago. Go to the challenges page on the Network to join in. And top submissions for this week's featured challenges will receive gold, which can be directly redeemed for prizes in the coin shop, which is very exciting. And make sure to check out some of the cool prizes and what they are in the coin shop, so you don't have to hear our ambiguous, oh, they're so cool. No, go see it for yourself. I promise. They're actually very cool. If you can't figure it out, you can always reach out to your mentor on Discord as well. I know we've got people just ready and waiting to help you guys get that figured out.
Yeah, we're always the ones, oh yeah, go take a look.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
A lot of times we don't give you the opportunity to go look and say, oh, it's super cool. There's the perfect opportunity. And if you need some support on your way, like he said, there's the mentors there in position to help, just the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally am very excited about drone rivalries. We just talked about we've both experienced drones a lot, but I'm excited to see people that are better at flying them. I think that's very exciting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we have a couple of brackets we can take a look at for next week, where we're going to be seeing on the drone rivalry stream next week. So I'm very excited. I think we're going to be seeing NCVA in there as well. I believe that player is Saturn, or at least that's the account name. We have Becca the Destroyer from Archery Kell coming in. Apparently last season was a very good one for them. They were able to just crush the 3D modeling program that VESL had offered. So let's see if that carries over into the drones experience. Early College East High is here, and I believe it's Cat Peaches, who is considered, from what I have been told, a bit of a wild card, a strong competitor trying to come in. And there's also somebody from Cab Tech that's looking to find some great playing. So there's a lot of students coming into something that may feel brand new to us, but this drone experience for a lot of these students may be coming out from experiences years prior.
And you also have to think about the fact that I'm very sad I'm going to be missing that. That's my week off, man.
Oh, that is your week off?
No. Why do we have to go every other week for this? Can we just fire Hail Monkey Man? Get him out of here. I want to watch his drone rivals.
The worst part is I know he loves drones too. Like, we're really gonna have to fight for it.
As long as he's happy, then at least two of us will get to experience it.
Yeah, and I do want to say
you
that in this
too, come back next week.
Yeah, agreed. Everybody watching should come back and check this out. But I do want to say as well, before we jump into Marvel Rivals, in this B bracket, Dempstog from Kern's Academy, this is the player that took home the championship title. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I commentated Dempstog winning this title last season, and Olympic got first in Fortnite as well. And there was also the hydroponics that happened, and they were able to get first there as well. So there's a lot of schools coming into this that have won or been top 3 in other STEM programs that VESL has offered. And I think that's very cool, because it's like on that season of Survivor where only people that have won came back. You know what I mean? It's like we've taken people that are very successful in one aspect of STEM, and we're giving them the opportunity to prove that extends further than what they've been able to show us so far. We have so many talented players coming in that I wish we had the time to name every single one, but we'd be late for Marvel Rivals if I did.
Yeah, speaking of Marvel Rivals, it's right around the corner. We're getting ready for our second game and game title of the day. This one is Myers Park Green taking on Lexington Blue. And Lexington Blue, I think, is the #1 roster. I'm looking at this. We've seen them as a roster. They are from outside of just Marvel Rivals. I think I've seen them as a roster in multiple different game titles across VESL, both this semester and previously. Their success is something that I'm really looking forward to, hopefully in Marvel Rivals, but this is also the first Marvel Rivals I'm seeing in a competitive fashion at the collegiate or high school level. I haven't seen any tournaments, so this is kind of a new territory for me outside, those pro content creator tournaments that really are only technically pro.
Yeah, technically pro, but hey, if the rumors are true, a pro scene maybe just around the corner. I guess we're gonna have to wait and find out. But regardless, so last week we saw a lot of bronze and a lot of silver. This week I'm looking at the players on both sides. I'm seeing diamond, I'm seeing platinum, I'm seeing a grandmaster 1 on both team, which is very exciting. So we've got Picamare, grandmaster 3. I believe Picamare may have been an Overwatch player for this school as well. That name is very familiar to me. We'll have to wait and find out if I'm correct on that. Ultimate whatever, though, is going to be the Grandmaster on the opposing side. So 2 players to look out for. I don't know which roles they're going to be playing. Ideally, in a perfect world, they're playing the same role. But we're going to have to wait and find out as we jump into our first match, our domination match with, I believe, is the King of the Hill style map type.
Yeah, Hell's Heaven's our first one to kick things off, and you said Grandmaster. Actually, you probably said like Platinum, and I'm like, all right, we're already 2 out of my league. This is well above where I'm playing. This is why I'm in the booth and not in the game, and also because I'm not a high schooler in North Carolina. But that's kind of like
true. Me neither.
Yeah, it looks like we're going those normal 2x2x2 compositions. I've seen some teams. I don't know if there's some competitive restrictions. I've seen different leagues introduce.
Not in here, not to my knowledge.
I don't think there's restrictions. We could see goats. Please no, but we could see goats.
We could. Honestly, we very likely could. That's kind of what I was expecting. It's either going to be that 2-2-2 or the 3-3. And it looks like you said, we are seeing 2-2-2 on both sides. So we've got Winter Soldier on both sides, which makes a lot of sense as he is very powerful. And we're actually, seeing Tank triple DPS. Or no, that's Bruce Banner. So that is 2 tanks. I fell for it. Yeah. My fault. That is going to be the 2-2-2. So it's Doctor Strange and Hulk on both sides, Winter Soldier on both sides. And then things start to change up a little bit. We're seeing Wolverine versus Namor. We're seeing the Invisible Woman versus Cloak and Dagger, and then Luna Snow versus Mantis. So on the right side here, the overlay is not set up for us yet, so I don't want to misname either of these teams, but we are seeing a lot more healing output on this right side team right now.
Yeah, it looks like Thor, especially with this decision, you're just kind of playing around that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see those kind of DPS heroes kind of encircle Thor and play around those dives. There's a lot of different ways you tank. Thor's going to be the dive in and dive out as needed, but Doctor Strange, you have that combination, that could be the one that costs you.
Yeah, Doctor Strange is going to be able to get in early and with a lot of tank value on the board here. We've got that Thor v Hulk, so I want to be seeing if the action is going to be able to pop up at a time like this.
Pretty dropping one. Picamare, there's your aforementioned Overwatch player gone, and there goes, I think, Doctor Strange as well. That honestly probably should do it on this fight. Thor getting swarmed back in, though. What a play from Souls.
Yeah, a beautiful play from Souls there, and I think that's exactly how you need to be playing the Winter Soldier. You need to be going for that hyper-aggressive play style, because if you're not getting value, if you're not doing damage, you're not doing anything on a character like that, and I think with being 80% to the ultimate already, it shows that there could be a really good value for Myers Park if they retake the point. They kind of won that fight, but Lexington Blue, they capped point, so they're getting the game value.
Picamare going for that high ground, trying to go again for the backstab. If they can find it, they will. What a play on Doctor Strange, who's kind of put out in the middle of everything, but not to their immediate death. Somehow Hawk not falling either. They will back down to the Bruce Banner-esque scenario, and they're gone just the same. Couple of owned fights there for Lexington Blue. They are holding this one off.
Yeah, Picamare is going to be going down pretty early on there. Myers Park Green, they're staggered out. We see the portal getting set up into a backline drop attack. This is exactly how my friends and I play, because I think this is the funniest thing you can do in this game, is just drop on the enemy team like this. The ultimate at the ready, and they're going to be using it. They go for 1 kill, not able to find it yet. They need one to charge that ultimate a second time, and unfortunately, they lose it. Just not able to put that down early. Myers Park first ultimate missing. The Invisible Woman puts up her shield as well, her healing barrier for the team, but with no Elans in the pocket, this is still going to be a technical fight win for Lexington Blue as they continue to rack up points. It's a 1-1 elimination on both sides, but as Rusty Golem does go down, this Thor ultimate from Ultimate Whatever, the Grandmaster 2 player on the board, making the difference for the team once again.
It's also the composition difference that we're seeing. Lexington Blue have had a lot more disengaged healers that have been allowed to get healing in as needed, as compared to the more involved roster of Myers Park Green. Not the technical right or wrong way of playing it, it's just working a lot better for Lexington. You can see exactly why they're at 90%.
Yeah, and we're in an area where a lot of the supports in this game are considered meta. There's not very many that are like bad in quotes, but we just see such a larger healing output from Luna Snow specifically over Mantis and over the Invisible Woman that I think it is helping make a really big difference though. Unfortunately, it's going to be Lexington Blue able to win that out 100-0. They need to win one more domination map here on the Super Soldier Factory to win this first map and put us on series point. This is only a best of 3.
Honestly, a textbook play though from Dr. Strange. Making sure you use that time stone, get the backline. It's basically just a game of freeze tag from that on. You really can't do anything to try and counter it. Now, the one difference that I honestly love from Marvel Rivals is compared to Overwatch 2 or Overwatch, for all of you who may be playing at home or somewhat new to the game, you can see the ultimates carry over.
Yes.
That I love. Now, I hate it when I've just used my ultimate and the other team has like 4. But when I have it, it's useful. I love it. Now, Joshua Rules does make the change. They had an ult in their back pocket. They surprisingly swap off of it. I don't know why they did that, but hey, you might as well use the ult and then swap rather than the other way around.
Yeah, honestly, you want to use that ult, try to get it out early, and Picamare, currently 0-4 on this Wolverine, has been doing a really good job creating that synergy between players, but unfortunately hasn't been picking up the eliminations, which are so critical when you're trying to find success on the Wolverine. I wouldn't mind seeing a swap.
Now, about 24 hours ago, there were patches that went through which fixed a lot of the bugs that people were facing over the last week, which I love for our first real showing of Marvel Rivals in the competitive sense here on week 1. But, I mean, this opening fight, look at all the damage being done that is not immediately healed, and there goes King Jordan.
Already some great action coming through here for Myers Park. Let's see if they're going to be able to continue carrying that energy out. Picamare finds their first elimination of the match of the Winter Soldier. Taking off the map, able to jump right back up in the moment. Oh, the Thor ult actually finds nada. Doesn't find a darn tootin' thing.
What?
Is Ultimate would ever going to lose their life for it? Slow and steady may win the race, as it looks like Myers Park Green. This is the opposite of what happened last time. They won the first fight but didn't cap the point. This time, they stuck around long enough to do so.
And Myers Park Green were taking full advantage of the distance healing they have in their backline. They didn't have to get overzealous. They didn't put themselves out of position. And Lexington was kind of caught out going for the healers while also being focused by that DPS line there for Myers Park.
Ooh, the Jet is going to be able to find one Doctor Strange into another, and it's already going to be a 3-piece in favor of Lexington. They lose one fight, but they come out in troves with the second. A beautiful fade there to make the team invincible for just a brief moment. The healing field up. They're trying to target the Cloak and Dagger, and I think they're going to be able to do so, just not able to make it out of the way in time. Moshimori somehow still standing. I mean, that is absurd that they are still alive, but Lexington is going to be able to keep themselves up on the board. They flipped it back in their favor, and they'll be able to take the lead in just a moment.
Yeah, it's that one difference. There's already 20% in their favor because they held it for a few seconds before that previous fight ended. That means they're a lot quicker on their way to picking this one up, and I love this high ground. Ultimate Whatever is already 90% to another ult here on Thor. This is really good timing for them if they can find it the next 5-10 seconds.
They want to try to farm the ult without people knowing they're there, but that's going to require a lot of patience on the board. And now that one of your players has gone down to support in particular, things are going to be a DPS, things are going to get even worse. But my goodness, does it matter? Not in the slightest. The Thor ult does not find anything, but the damage from it helps the team clean up and puts Lexington just about a fight and a half away from being able to win this first map 2-0.
And you're basically, what, the full fight in a touch, maybe?
Yeah, pretty much.
Whatever, just back up to the high ground, and then they fall. Kind of funny. But hey, look at this. Doctor Strange going back for that portal up above. They'll quickly drop on top.
Here we go. The Eye of Agamotto needs to make an appearance here from Doctor Strange if they're going to be able to use it. Gang and Friends looking for the opportunity. Ultimate does make an appearance from Heroic on the other side. Picamare finds one, gives their life for it, trades their fellow DPS. Souls has been removed from the fray. A lot of action here on the board, and still the Eye of Agamotto being held in the pocket. I'm really not sure why. You've just got to let it rip here, but it's the Invisible Woman ultimate that comes out from Myers Park, trying to keep the team alive, trying to turn them invisible when they're within that radius. And if an elimination isn't found in the next 3 to 4 seconds, I need to see this Eye of Agamotto. Finally, it makes an appearance. It's going to, look, find 2 eliminations immediately. We should have done that at the beginning of the fight because we waited. We gave Lexington 99% on the board.
You give them 99%, but honestly, the 99% is just as good, if not about the same, as the 90 to 93 they maybe would have had otherwise. I like the hold. The only reason is because it was a lot more of a centralized team at the late stage of that fight. Eye of Agamotto had a lot more efficacy at that point and they made sure that everybody had the healing they needed before kind of overexposing themselves with the ult hand.
Timestone is trying to make that big difference, and it looks like it's going to be able to help to do so more, but this time on the side of Lexington, Random Unk puts down one elimination, Heroican into a second, and I do believe that this first map of Marvel Rivals is going to be wrapped up quite nicely. It's going to be the only ultimate available is Souls, who's still walking back from spawn. The 5K turns to 6, everybody down, 99, overtime should tick away, and Souls just not going to be able to make it as the entire team rushes them down to prevent that from happening. That's a 2-0 victory for Lexington on map number 1.
A lot closer there for Myers Park, but still 2-0 is 2-0. Clean finish for them at the tail end of things. They made sure that they maybe didn't win immediately, but they didn't give away the couple of fights that they needed to win later on. And at this point in the game, Myers Park, they can't afford to give up that second point as easily at the tail end. You really have your couple of ultimates, and that's, I'm going to say it, probably the only reason they fully win that fight. They don't use Agamotto. They probably don't freeze everybody. Well, they definitely don't freeze everybody, but they definitely don't win the fight as cleanly off the back of it. Now, is Myers Park Green still staying involved? Absolutely. 100-74, by no means a trounce.
Right,
but
right.
That first round does concern me here on Domination.
And I will say that there were 16 deaths on one side, over 30 on the other. So I do think that's going to be a big difference here, and it does come down to, as I mentioned, the healing output. We're seeing total healing 26,000 on one side, and then we're actually seeing 30,000 on the other. So it's really fascinating that our losing team does put more healing down at a time like that, but unfortunately, the healing just wasn't enough. Does it come down to the Thor pick instead? We saw Winter Soldier on both sides. Does it come down to Picamare on the Wolverine, never really being able to find their stride? Well, unfortunately, hindsight's 2020. We're going to have to try and move forward and see if they can shape things up in our next map, which is going to be more commonly referred to as the hybrid map. This will be both teams approaching a point, trying to cap that point, and then upon successfully doing so, escorting a cart to the end of the map.
At this point in the game as well, maybe you're looking at a composition change for Myers Park. Now,
I hope
obviously,
so.
different map type, I'd like to see it. But the real difference there was Lexington Senior ran that double tank. Dr. Strange really played the chaotic part in the back line, whereas Thor was the chaotic neutral, kind of in the front line, getting in and out, making sure the high ground worked. It felt like playing a lurk DPS hero, as if an annoying soldier back on Overwatch, but as Thor.
It's very, very true. I mean, just constantly flanking in that back line, very wrecking ball coded, very like, okay, you focus on that tank and I'll clean up in the back line there. So I do think there was a lot of great opportunity to just keep an eye on that Thor, hopefully going into this next matchup. But I think with the map type changing, it does provoke the opportunity for the map, the team strategies and compositions to be changing instead. Maybe going triple tank, triple support might be the answer. Maybe you're taking too much damage. Maybe you're not doing enough damage. Triple tank, triple support may be able to fix that. Going Groot, Thor, Doctor Strange, or Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Venom, something of that nature could be really beneficial for this team if they're going to be able to try something new. But if they want to stick to their guns, we're very early in the season. Comfort picks aren't exactly a terrible idea either.
Now, one of the main problems with playing in an event like this, especially as like a high school roster, is you don't have all that information that you're looking for elsewhere that you may have in a more cohesive game like Valorant, even like Overwatch 2. There are no other events actively being run at this level. You're basically looking at top level esports that still hasn't even officially been set up, and then you can play ranked, and that's about all. You're not getting that same level of organized reps, which is the main issue I think we saw. Maybe not as cohesively put together with the compositions they need. They don't get the practice they'd like to have, even with the practice time they've got in the back pocket, because you're not playing the same quality or quantity of rosters that are not just solo queuing into ranked. And that could be the difference maker as we get it.
Something interesting as well that I think I was just taking a look at there is I believe one player on the side of Lexington is playing via their PlayStation, which there's nothing wrong with that, of course. It's just very fascinating in a situation like this. It's not often you see games multi-platform when they're first-person shooters or third-person shooters when they're kind of competitive team-based shooters like this. It tends to be everybody PC or everyone, but I assume this is because it's a custom lobby. You're allowed to kind of do whatever you want. I know you can queue with people on other things, but it's just fascinating. You know, it's a very different game when you're playing on a mouse and keyboard versus playing on that controller.
And it also, did you see who was playing? It's Moshimari. What role was Moshimari on in the previous? I don't think Moshimari was on the DPS like.
I believe Moshi's playing Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
That's a very reasonable like hero type to play.
Very true. Very true.
On controller. I mean, you can play Mercy probably.
Yeah. Also, looking on the other side, 3 PlayStation players and 1 Xbox player. So, I mean, that's pretty absurd. Like that these teams really have gone quite well. There's a lot more console players in here than I had anticipated, but that's going to make you wonder as well. Did we see the win from Lexington because they've got 5 PC players?
And they are diamond plat PC players. Talking about those ranks, it is what, 2 golds, 2 silvers, a GM, and a diamond versus what, 3 diamonds, 2 plats, and a GM. And I don't want to go, oh yeah, well obviously because they have a higher rank, they're better players. Rank is not the end all be all of this playstyle, but at the same time,
especially for a game so young.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's a glaring rank difference, and sometimes it just shows the time commitment versus the skill commitment, and that time alone can be the difference maker.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, this game is brand new still. This game is less than a year old, less than half a year old, as we're currently playing in this competitive nature already. So these players, their current ranks may not be indicative of their traditional play styles, their traditional talents. And I always tell my students as well that your solo rank does not dictate your ability to play on a team. Because I think those are 2 very different things. And, that's coming from somebody that, I played on a team, and then I was GM in Overwatch for a long time, but my team sure wasn't, and it comes down to like a scenario in which you find yourself playing different on a team versus playing different alone or solo queuing or duo queuing. So I think looking at somebody who may be gold, I think it's very likely they could be playing at a plat or diamond level when they're playing in a team. And I think that's true for just about everybody. So whatever rank we're seeing, I think it's fair to bump them all up 1 or 2.
Especially when they're playing as the full roster. You are your own game. This is applicable to basically every esport and sports alone. Your own skill level and level of play in that game is going to be elevated when you're playing around other players of similar levels, especially when you are actively communicating. I cannot tell you how many times I've played even quick play Marvel Rival games or low level comp games, and nobody has said a word the entire game except for the fact that I'm terrible at the game when it's over. Now,
when it's over, they don't say any useful information.
Are they right? Maybe. But the fact they're not communicating is the real difference maker, and having those solo, maybe duo, even trio queue scenarios are completely different from playing in a competitive setting against other rosters, even from your same general geographical area, much less that same type of play.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you go into a scenario like this where communication makes the difference. It always has and it always will. It's when you take a good team to a great team. It's when people are able to effectively communicate. When you have an IGL, an in-game lead who can call those primary shots. You have a secondary caller. In a game like this, you have somebody tracking ultimates. You have somebody tracking swaps that we may be seeing or anything of that nature. So if the teams don't currently have any of the things I just listed, delegating those will help this team improve instantaneously.
Headed to Tokyo 2099 for map number 2, and what could be the final map. This is best of 3. We're not playing your normal regular season Overwatch rule set, which is the best of 5. So it will be BO3 play. Keep that in your back pocket. Now, I want to bring this up one more time. Moshimari is one of 5 players in this game that is on controller, but the only on their own roster. Now, you said it, they were playing Cloak and Dagger in that previous map. Would not surprise me if they're going to bring something similar back here on this one. Bans are being locked in, first bans for both rosters. Something I love about Marvel Rivals is that there are bans for each side. Make sure you get them confirmed and kind of move on. Each of these seem to be fairly stock standard bans. We may even see a Doctor Strange ban, strangely enough. Absolutely intended, and I apologize ahead of time. Yeah, it is the Doctor Strange ban there for Myers Park. But on the other side, a late decision, and again, unsurprisingly, but Doctor Strange is kind of that handicap that we're going to see directly against a fairly good roster with Doctor Strange in Lexington Senior High, where they are losing one of the primary points of their front line, and not really being able to pick it up on the back end. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a Thor again. Groot, interestingly enough, by Gang and Friends. But everybody else picking up something similar to what they did in that previous game. And here in map 2, the main concern I have is not seeing that same double tank on the opposite side. 30 seconds till we get play fully underway. It is the attack to open up, then we'll swap sides and we'll see the defense for Lexington Senior. But their composition is honestly different from what they ran back in map 1 as well. But no Thor this time around. Random Monk with my personal favorite of the heroes in this entire game. Mainly because I was a soldier main back on Overwatch. I don't think it's going to change all that. But pretty good selection in my opinion. Sometimes all it takes is to hold down mouse 1 and W, or in some cases the right trigger in your left hit forward if you're seeing these players pick up that console. But all it takes is a couple headshots from a distance and you can really throw off the circadian rhythm of Myers Park Green. 4 minutes to get this cap, and then you start moving that hybrid escort in towards the foreground and really the back line of Myers Park Green. They've already gained some of that control they're looking for. Nice play from the Winter Soldier to get the damage, but you can't find the kill, and Souls just has to quickly disengage. At least gets the help from their back line. They aren't finding the finishes they need. Finally they do, with Random Monk going down. Is not the immediate disengage for Lexington Senior High, though. They are sticking around and to the fullest extent possible trying to stay involved, and they will. Souls goes down, say goodbye to the Winter Soldier, and Random Monk makes us twitch on the back end of it while they're in the spawn rooms. Cloak and Dagger trying to live through all of this as much as they can with Rusty Golem, and they won't be able to do so. This is a fairly clean end of the fight for Lexington Senior High. Minute 15, maybe minute 20 seconds, depending on how long it takes them to fully cap this, but all in all, a clean finish to the first capped point. They'll get that hybrid off and running, as they're even looking for the high ground to get it further through. Souls on the Winter Soldier takes a lot more damage than maybe they were expecting. So too is Gang and Friends. And it's just kind of the back line for Star-Lord. The Akimbo pistol's working out pretty well as Gang and Friends frontlining this takes a lot of damage. And they've already lost Josh Rules on their own Star-Lord. Great jump up from Souls on the Winter Soldier, but stuck in the back line there, quickly taken care of. There's even a res in the back line of Lexington Senior High. Another fight that just falls by the wayside. There's really nothing done wrong for them. The Jet here, somebody I've actually played in my ranked games like a week or two ago. He's on the Star-Lord and did a lot of damage from up high, but couldn't actually find the kills he was looking for until he gets some help from Random Monk. And again, Rusty Golem goes down. Just not an answer, it seems, to Lexington Senior High and their much more variety-based composition. And the 2-2-2 for Myers Park Green, just not the healing they need. I seriously would not be surprised if they go for that 3-3 GOAT setup, where they bring out any extra amount of healing they can. Cole's living through this as the Winter Soldier, needs to get out if he can. He doesn't have the support he needs. Now it finally starts to swarm him, and he's living for a few extra seconds. But Star-Lord here for Joshua Rules in midair, going for all the damage he can, but it's really just not sticking. Myers Park Green aren't able to follow up, and Souls goes down to the opposite Star-Lord of the Jet. That alone could end this fight, and it seems like it very much will. Couple kills at the tail end of things for Harakian as well. Harakian, apologies. Souls finds a consolation pick, but that is really all they can write home about for the Myers Park Green roster. Harakian almost getting another as well, just not letting up. As they continue to swarm this backline, already gaining that first checkpoint. Another 4 minutes on the clock for them to push through it. And a late death, an unfortunate one, will cost them. Jet midair does more and more damage, and it's just one that will probably end this attack, if not shortly, almost certainly. Sedated Random Monk will live through the chaos in front of him, but it's another 50-60 meters gained off the back of it. Combine that with how much they win if they pick up this next fight, we could very well see the tail end of this game ending Cephalins. It has been a very, very quick start to a clean Tokyo 2099.
And I mean, it's a quick start, and it could be a strong finish here. This is a map that people tend to really just decide that this is a good Moon Knight map, but I'm not saying I disagree. A friend of mine is a bit of a Moon Knight believer, and we tend to see him a lot on this map, and I think it's due to the fact that his ultimate has such a wide radius, and this is a very congested map in a lot of spots. This is another reason we see Jeff a little more often on this map, even though Jeff's not a particularly strong support, but right now it's not that Moon Knight alone making that magic happen. Souls finding an elimination early onto Random Unk, though another one behind again. Oh my goodness, another elimination comes through, but the resurrection! Oh, the Adam Warlock just making the difference. No, he's not making the difference! Souls is still not done again! He's not able to find another one. Heroican gets one more resurrection onto Dejet, but I do believe Souls single-handedly reaped the souls of that entire attacking team.
And it's that hero ban that really changes how this map could finish. The lack of a Doctor Strange for Lexington Senior means they're not playing that Doctor Strange-Thor combination. We're not even seeing the Thor at all. That lack of a finishing power could cost them, but they're swarming themselves.
Listen, I would have banned Thor in a heartbeat. After that performance on map 1, that's my ban through and through. We see the ultimate come through from Magneto, though it is going to find a double kill. Turns into a quadruple with the help of Moshimari and this Moon Knight. Random Unk once again can't get over the Moon Knight. I mean, we are seeing some great performances thus far. The beauty of the moment. 2 minutes left on the clock, and I do believe there's at least one more fight before a third cap.
Should be able to at least contest, but how effective will that contest be? That's the real question for him. Already one gone. Rusty Golem's taken out.
Ooh, 2 players down. Heroican gets the elimination onto Souls. Now, I've tried to play Adam Warlock myself, but I think his kit just doesn't particularly mesh well with my playstyle. But it looks like Heroican is right here at home, able to find a lot of great value early. The resurrections have been extremely beneficial. And Picamare on the tank. Goes for the Magneto ult, can't find a target, gets some decent damage out, but unfortunately only one elimination. Good news, it's the Grandmaster player.
Of all the players you could find, that's the individual name at least. Maybe not the hero you were looking for, but you're looking for the skill level. That's the final target of it. Souls again going up.
Oh, not able to find anything, though. Heroican gets resurrection onto themselves in that moment, and there it is. Nobody able to touch at a pivotal moment just like that. Check that out. 26 elims and 31, so over 40 elims, oh, nearly 50 between a Random Unk and Dejet.
And Dejet alone was really the impactful part at the beginning stage of that first push phase here.
Yeah.
The high ground alone is kind of owned by Star-Lords, to be honest with you, and you have the Star-Lord diff forcing a change for Myers Park. Joshua Rules just kind of had to change it. Here I wouldn't be surprised if they try and stick it, but they'll actually go over to the Thor themselves. Now the real question is, how often do we see the change between offensive and defensive compositions? Right now, it seems like Lexington Senior have the exact same, maybe minus Random Unk going on towards that Winter Soldier. But everybody else has the same exact character they picked on that attacking phase.
Because I think Marvel Rivals is built in a really unique way where you come to the table with that specialization of agent you'd like to play. And I don't necessarily mean the role specifically, but every character in this game plays so differently that we tend to lean into some characters over others. It feels like we're seeing Lexington know which roles they want to play. They know what that looks like. And on the opposing side here, I'm just not sure if we're getting that same level of confidence. I don't know if they guarantee that, but I do know that Storm has the highest win rate in the game right now with a 56% win rate over any other hero in the entire game. So Souls, with the performance they had in the last game, wielding the weapon of the weather that Storm controls, this could be a really big swing for the team.
Real question is, how quickly can Myers Park green cap? It took about a minute 15, maybe minute 30 seconds for Lexington Senior to do that. It took maybe a fight and a half in total. Here, they have to be able to win it early. If they can't start this off well, I don't know if they're even going to have a chance to finish this off at all.
We're going to have to wait and see. Heroican able to find an elimination onto Picamare early. The resurrection from Gang and Friends, though, very beneficial, able to get that Magneto back into the fight early on. Action is slow and steady. Both teams looking to win the race. They're not going to be able to find anything quite yet. And with the Cloak and Dagger in the backline here, it's such a consistent play for Rusty Golem. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to see it early, but it's Souls who goes down. That power player, the one we've been so complimentary of thus far, just not able to find that early progress.
Again, we've seen Souls kind of get out of position because they had to be forced into awkward scenarios. That's just a quick death for Joshua Rules. Really not much they could do once they were in the backline. But Souls has been caught out of position. As soon as they're caught out of position, it kind of combined from there into a quick death. similar-ish thing we saw.
Ooh.
But wow.
Oh man, he's not. If you're gonna let him do it once, he's gonna do it again. I mean, by golly, just comes through with that incredible ultimate from Random Unk on the Winter Soldier. 2.5 minutes, so nearly half the time bank come and gone before we even got the opportunity to process that it's missing. A huge opportunity here for the side of, I almost said Palisades, this is the wrong team, for Lexington Blue to try and lock into this matchup here. Myers Park Green, they need to break through. Lots of ultimates to try and make that happen.
If Lexington Senior picks up another one of those fights, Soul's down again. This is the same scenario we saw on the previous occasion.
Oh, I want to see Picamare drop this ultimate. I mean, there's not going to be a better time. You wait for this Luna Snow ultimate to come to a close, and then you take as many players down and out as you can. One elimination, low and slow, uses it a bit early, but the value is still going to be found with the help of the Jet popping an ultimate of their own. The full hold could be happening here. Myers Park, they need to break through, and I just do not know if that's going to be in the books. I was really hoping they'd be able to find some great value one way or another, but unfortunately, it looks like on this side that Lexington's going to get you.
It just seems like textbook tunnel visioning for Myers.
That's true.
They
That's
really
true.
haven't been able to find a combination of opponents at the same time. And as soon as they find one, I mean, we just saw that from Souls, where Souls, I think, found maybe Hirakian, and then took 15 seconds looking square at Hirakian and nobody else, and then died from 3 other players. There's not much you can do from that point onwards, but you'd like to be able to not force out a tunnel vision if you can avoid it.
Now, I love the skin choice here from Joshua, but I am unfortunately a Spider-Man hater. I'm not sure what value we're going to be able to find in the last minute of this matchup. It's going to be a tough scenario to lock yourself into, but let's see if they're going to be able to pick up that value when they need to. Spider-Man can do a lot of solo damage, and he actually works well. He leans into that tunnel vision play style, uses the ultimate once, finds elimination with the help of the Jet, uses it again to get that second pick, and now with the pressure stacking on the board, this value just not working out, and it looks like it is going to be Lexington not able to find that, loss here in the defense. Myers Park running out of time, less than a minute on the clock now, barely 30 seconds.
So what you're looking at, maybe one fight, a second one.
If even.
A quick death here, but you're really not even looking for a quick death. Gang and Friends goes down on the Raccoon, and I would not be surprised. That should be it. I wouldn't even be surprised if they don't even get a full fight here, because players are going to be joining much later than expected.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, 13 seconds left. You've got the Star-Lord ultimate in the air, making it nigh impossible for you to get into the mix here. You've got 2 defensive ultimates on the defending team as well. The support ult's in the pocket, and only a Cloak and Dagger ult that Rusty Golem has been holding on to for a long time. Now, the Spidey ult is a wild one. This can deal some lethality when it comes down to it, but I don't get why we're not using it. I'm not sure what we're waiting for. Now, Joshua has gone down. They're not able to find the value they were looking for, and it's going to be a full hold victory. That's going to be a 2-0 on the board for Lexington Blue.
Just about as clean of a 2-0 as you can get. You full hold on Tokyo 2099. You complete it yourself, and you get the clean 2-0 on Domination just the same. Really textbook for Lexington Senior. Not much that Myers Park Green did wrong, per se, but they're playing up against a team that just sometimes outmatches them. The Jet, a rightful MVP here on the Star-Lord. There's really nothing you can do wrong there when you're playing Star-Lord the way he was.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance on both sides, but unfortunately, it is just going to be that 51 elims. I mean, that is currently a VESL Spring 2025 record to be broken. 51 elims in a single game. A beautifully played game, and I think that is a well-deserved victory. You just saw the team coordination versus the tunnel vision. A lot of people wanted to be the hero, and unfortunately, the 6 of them couldn't agree who to take down in time. It does end up costing them, and they will end up going 0-1 out of their first Marvel Rival start of the season. It's an unfortunate start, but luckily, there's plenty, hell, the entire season left to be played, so I'm hoping that these players are going to be able to find some great value in the future.
By the way, Dejet and Random Unk combined for 74. 94.
94.
Elims. And
oh my goodness.
54,000 damage.
Oh my goodness.
Just about 27,200 each. If that is not a show of impressive feats, I don't know what will. Now, I do have to say, I like the composition change at the tail end of things. For Myers Park, they kind of went for the 1-2-3, which is what we've seen a lot from the higher ranked sets. But I would not have been surprised if they just went for the 2-split all the way across the board, only because they just needed more quick damage output. Joshua Rules was holding on to that Spider-Man ult for a little while longer than I'd say they probably should have. And Picamare, even on the Magneto, didn't have the support on the back line they needed because nobody else was there to finish off the damage they were doing. And they were doing a decent bit of damage, so too was Souls, but they didn't have the help they needed. They had the healing, sure, but there's only so much healing you can do until, well, you aren't healing anymore.
Until the healing is not the thing making the difference. But unfortunately, that is going to be the end of Marvel Rivals here tonight. I believe we're going to be having our first Brawlhalla broadcast in just a couple of minutes. Now, ideally, these players are going to be ready, and we're going to see if they're able to bring what they want to the table to find some first early Brawlhalla victories here in the VESL Spring 2025 season. We'll be right back here with some Brawlhalla action in just a couple of minutes.
One of the things that we're starting to notice is that competitive gaming is growing, and in that growth, we're seeing opportunities for new businesses to open up, events to be planned, and tournaments to be managed, run, and promoted. And so the students in my classes are able to come watch how this is actively being managed, talk with their fellow students to figure out what consumers are looking for in these type of environments and get a better understanding of that. There's a lot of learning opportunities that can be happening in that space. Really, this space is vital. I've got colleagues at other universities who are calling me and asking me about this space, talking to me about this space, wanting to come and see this space. And we're talking about universities all throughout the Southeast. This has put UNCG on the map.
The interesting thing is that this is not only for game design teachers, it's not only for computer science teachers, it's for teachers in all disciplines. It can be science, it can be social studies, it can be math. Any application of a curriculum can be applied here, and educators need to consider this because it's how you bridge the gap between what the students are interested in and your curriculum.
Unreal Engine is being broadly adopted across so many industries, and what I think is really cool is that Unreal Engine is a game engine, right? And so many people are using it for more than just what it was intended for. There are car companies using Unreal Engine. There are advertisers using Unreal Engine. I mean, it's everywhere. And there's a space for kids, students, anyone to create using these tools.
Kids are equipped with the skills, and the know-how in terms of using these tools, as long as we give them the opportunities. So we feel that, if we can access and work with educators and sort of take the intimidation away and allow them to understand that they don't have to be an expert to support students in these areas, that they can help create these great opportunities for their students.
Well, one of the things that we were, as a department, we've been thinking about how we can start to integrate with the esports here. A lot of our students are already interested in it, and so we're trying to find a way, how can we work that into the curriculum, and how can we work with other departments to bring this to our students. So this is going to be a big step for us if we can start to integrate this into our curriculum.
My second born, he wants to be a game designer, and I said, hey, let's come here and see what UNCG has to offer, what they're doing this new esports arena, and also bringing the Unreal Engine experience for educators. Definitely want to take what we learned today and continue for this weekend to start something, how we can use that curriculum and just the advancement of getting the word out about, esports and game development.
The true power in bringing these tools to educators is we feel that we're, sort of trying to nurture the next generation of creators. These are industry standard tools. These are the tools that if kids in high school or college can, leave, well equipped with using tools like Unreal Engine, Fortnite Creative, Twinmotion, Sketchfab, some of our other tools, they're ready for industry opportunities.
So it's really important for Epic to collaborate with the community because, we can't do it on our own. We need people that see that these are important things to bring to students. And that's what we see at UNCG. I would love to see Unreal Engine widely implemented in schools and just kids having the opportunity to have these tools at their disposal because there's no charge to use them. So it's like, wow, why can't we say, look at this tool. You can do anything you want with this. And it can take you anywhere.
The obvious things are it's a space for students to game, but I think this space provides a lot of other learning opportunities and experiential learning opportunities for students. The career transfer pieces, whether you're in media, production, or you're doing event management, we have an opportunity to train students to get out in the community to help us lead a lot of different esports initiatives, both locally, regionally, and nationally. Tournament hosting, sponsorships within the esports community, continuing to build our competitive edge with our student recruitment. I think that UNCG's positioned itself to really be the leaders on that forefront.
Welcome to the Varsity and Esports STEM League, where high school students can compete in video games and STEM pathways, allowing them to win prizes and build life-changing opportunities. VESL helps guide students towards discovering their career pathways in and after high school by engaging them in fun, competitive competitions that build real-life skills such as problem-solving, teamwork, and accountability. VESL began just 2 years ago with a handful of Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. Now, VESL is supported by the entire state with over 200 schools and 3,000 active students. With no expensive requirements to participate, VESL makes itself the most accessible esports and STEM league in North Carolina. The league is even accessible to students who only have access to a phone through our Notwork platform. Students interested in esports will have the chance to compete against other schools across the state, showcasing their skills during a 7-week regular season leading into regional playoffs and a state championship. This fall season will offer Rocket League, Overwatch 2, College Football 25, and Super Smash Bros. In a season-long competition. Not interested in those game titles? Well, no worries. We have all sorts of exciting tournaments and casual game nights happening throughout the season as well, featuring over 30 game titles. Registration for the fall 2024 season is now open and will close on September 20th. Seeding for teams will also take place on September 23rd, and the regular season begins on September 30th. The season will end with the state championship taking place later in the fall. VESL will share more details soon as we get closer to the main event. On top of all that, we present the VESL Yearly Cup. With a focus on players' versatility and adaptability, VYC features 8 standout esports titles that form an integrated competition lasting the entire school year. This fall 2024 season's VYC features Apex, Valorant, Fall Guys, and Brawlhalla. Each game will impact the overall rankings with a cumulative scoring system determining the final top 3 performers at the end of the school year. We will also be holding several events prior to the official league season, including our Super Smash Bros. Draft Clash and Fortnite. Keep a lookout on socials for more details to come about VYC. VESL also offers a STEM league geared towards teaching students valuable skills and rewarding them for their achievements. STEM players compete during a regular season in various topics rotated through an 8-week schedule, giving students valuable exposure to STEM fields like engineering, agri-tech, game development, and more. Competitions are broken into bite-sized, self-paced challenges where students learn real-world skills and tackle challenges in a flexible time frame. All of this supported by online resources and guidance from our STEM coaches. Players earn rewards upon completing competitions, with each student participating individually and contributing to their school's overall performance. Teams compete against other high schools across North Carolina, with top-performing teams advancing through the season to an in-person championship where teams can earn some awesome prizes. The STEM season will begin on September 26th and run through November 21st. Registration is now accessible through our new learning social platform, Knotwork. Knotwork is an innovative platform that leverages technology to meet high school students where they are and takes them where they want to be. This includes an all-in-one location for leaderboards and stats throughout our competitive season, innovative ways to connect with STEM, and much, much more. Once students have grown in their network by interacting in the social experience, they can earn a chance to access a brand new experience coming soon to the Knotwork app. Representatives from VESL will connect with students and teachers to help with registration and answer questions about the season. We're excited about everything new and are thrilled to make this the best VESL season yet.
My name is Miles Morgan. I go to JT Williams High School, and I came to VESL as an intern. In the last 2 weeks, I've learned video editing, making videos, graphic designs, and helping build out the Knotwork platform. In video editing, I learned about how to use Premiere by keyframing, making edits, cuts, and all that to make short-form content for the VESL channel. As far as graphic design, I was taught to use Illustrator and Photoshop, and in Photoshop, I made a Overwatch roster graphic. My favorite part of the internship has been meeting new people and seeing the behind the scenes for VESL. Well, I chose VESL because I've always been part of this company as a competitor, and I always wanted to see what goes on behind the scenes. That, along with some friends, they came here and interned here and said that was a great experience. So I wanted to see how it was for myself.
My name is Peyton. I play for NC Virtual Academy, and my gamer tag is Saturn. This season, I've been learning about robotic arms, coding, video game design, playing games, making games, all the cool stuff. Agriculture, where we've been growing plants. I grew some mung beans. We just had a competition earlier. I cooked them up, made them into a meal. I think the 3D building for the boats has been the biggest thing for me because I want to be an engineer one day. So going ahead and getting the CAD software knowledge and learning how to 3D model has been really good. For college purposes, most likely it's probably going to help because I'm building my resume up to be able to get into more advanced colleges. Not only do you learn, you win prizes, you meet new people. I mean, it's just an overall really good experience for anyone. And it's so open and evolving for anyone. You don't even have to know what you're doing. They teach you along the way.
VESL is definitely one of the most fun things I've experienced throughout my high school career.
It gets you more involved with the school, leads to new friendships.
The atmosphere is amazing.
I was never going to be able to afford college on its own, and esports for me was the way I actually got to go and get higher education.
This is something that I can really excel in. I'm kind of suited for it. It's felt good, and it's made me way more confident in my own abilities.
I would consider this my friend group now. That's how close we've become all throughout VESL.
One of them actually got recruited. They're going to be playing together in college next year. That's awesome to see those connections. Because VESL covers so much of the cost of all these things, it's accessible to all of them.
Would you recommend this program to other students? If so, why?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
I mean, absolutely.
Highly recommend it.
Getting hands-on experience and competing with people alike, build your character and like your skill set.
Yes, for sure, hands down. They will see a growth within their kids. They have opened up as individuals.
Teaches them certain skills, gives them opportunities that are good for college.
And it's so open and evolving for anyone.
Atmosphere is amazing, what they do for the kids.
Gives such an important outlet to put that gaming experience and skill into.
I've been all over the block when it comes to esports, whether it's collegiate, professional, and then here for high school. There's just nothing else like it.
The atmosphere is amazing, what they do for the kids. I mean, it's just great what people here at VESL got going on.
VESL is definitely one of the most fun things I've experienced throughout my high school career.
Welcome to the VESL State Championships, the most prestigious academic event in all of North Carolina. For the best schools from across the state battle it out in STEM and esports competitions. Here at VESL, we meet students where they are. We do this by using esports and STEM to bridge the gap between education and advancing your career. Through our innovative model, we've helped empower over 4,000 high school students across 400 plus schools to push the boundaries and develop critical skills needed for tomorrow's workforce. Whether it's robotics, 3D printing, learning how to grow your own plants, or even learning how to pilot drones, our participants are building relevant skills that are aligned with regional jobs here in North Carolina.
I think the 3D building for the boats has been the biggest thing for me because I want to be an engineer one day. So going ahead and getting the CAD software knowledge and learning how to 3D model has been really good. For college purposes, it's probably going to help because I'm building my resume up to be able to get into more advanced colleges.
The guy that's interviewing me right now, he actually taught me how to edit videos, and that's probably the most important thing that I've learned in the past, 4 years.
VESL changed my life. It's also changed the lives of so many other people, and I think that's really cool.
Not only do you learn, you win prizes, you meet new people. I mean, it's just an overall really good experience for anyone. You don't even have to know what you're doing. They teach you along the way.
Congratulations, you not only got micro credentials for your resume, you have a performance rating of being the top STEM participants in the state of North Carolina for the fall season. Way to go.
I would consider this my friend group now. That's how close we've become all throughout VESL.
For example, our Overwatch team, they spoke so much about how their communication skills have improved, coming up with a game plan, learning teamwork. We're talking about today, I was like, guys, did you know where you're playing last night? What's your game plan? Did you know what you want to do? And they're like, oh yeah, we have like a 15-page document and we have this whole thing that just seeing all that has been great.
I just came back from Richmond last night. He's showing me certificates of Adobe Photoshop. He can go be a licensed drone pilot, and he has an opportunity to maybe fly airplanes. So that's where I'm from. That's something that's unheard of. Kids don't even think about those type of things.
Because VESL covers so much of the cost of all these things, this is something that they can all afford and they can all do and participate in.
If this could expand to be like a countrywide thing, it would be incredible. Like this teaches not only all the life skills, but it also brings people together. Every year it gets bigger and better, and there needs to be one hallmark of esports in high school to get people prepared for college in the real world, and I think this should be it.
While flying drones and planting gardens sounds like fun hobbies, VESL has found a way to take these activities and drive education and build careers for high schoolers. AgTech is a critical industry in the state of North Carolina, and VESL's mission has always been to better engage and prepare high school students for the jobs of tomorrow. This year, VESL offered some of its best STEM pathways yet, including our drones and hydroponic curriculums, all geared towards AgTech industries. Students learn to fly drones from the comfort of their own homes through the VESL Network platform, and even through completion of the hydroponics curriculum, were sent equipment to grow and harvest their own food.
And because VESL covers so much of the cost of all these things, it's accessible to all of them versus other types of sports. And I've had kids that sometimes like, well, I can't afford this, I can't afford this, and they don't get to do it. This is something that they can all afford and they can all do and participate in.
VESL is a place for students to build careers that soar higher than their drones. And what better place to see this in action than at our 2024 Fall State Championships? Students competed in drone racing, showcasing their expertise for field surveying and crop management, which are essential for the future of agriculture. Or maybe you came to watch students experience the fruits of their labor, where they cooked meals out of their own food that they grew and harvested completely on their own. At these championships, not only do students win amazing prizes, they earn recognition, connect with their community, build credentials for their resume, and experience how much fun STEM really can be.
My favorite part about VESL is the opportunities that it provides them that they wouldn't otherwise have.
I've always played sports, but I've never been like, top on the team. STEM is something that I can really excel in, and I feel my skills and my personality, I'm kind of suited for it.
Before I won that spring state STEM thing, I didn't really win anything huge up until that point, and that really boosted my confidence for the future, and I'd say really helped me as a person.
That's right, people who have signed up for the Not Work in a given window have now actually entered to have this as a potential winning. So, people who have signed up, we're going to put your name into a raffle using your Not Work Clerk ID. This is a unique ID given to everyone, that way we can identify you for safety reasons, but it's also great for raffle purposes. So, speaking of, let's try out this raffle. All right, hitting randomize, and we've got a Clerk ID. Time to see who this was. All right, it looks like it was DJ Burger Jr. DJ Burger Jr. Or DJ2 Groovy from New Bern High. You have won this PS5. So make sure that you contact us within 3 days to let us know, and we'll get you this bad boy. But it's not over just for you yet. If you want more stuff like this, please make sure to join the Not Work and let us know, because we might do more like this. Who knows? But thank you guys, and back to the stream.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to VESL Spring Season Week 1 2025 edition. I'm still Septulence, joined by Time to Light, and we are jumping into our third game this evening, Brawlhalla.
It's Brawlhalla. We're ready to get into the fighting games. You said it earlier. We've seen the first-person shooter. We've seen the third-person shooter, which is sometimes first-person, I think, depending on what ability you're using at the time. And now we're headed into the FGC world. Now, the newer addition to the FGC world as compared to other fighting games. But honestly, I've seen a bit of Brawlhalla outside of the collegiate sphere and high school sphere. This is one of the first forays I've seen inside of the high school sphere, though.
Yeah, I'm definitely in a scenario where Brawlhalla is one of the fighting games I don't know as well. I was a competitive Mortal Kombat player for a while. I've commentated Smash Ultimate and 4 and Brawl and whatever that may be for years, but Brawlhalla is something that I'm fully comfortable admitting that I'm still learning, and I'm excited to see it played at this high-caliber high school level, because from the videos I have seen, this game is so unique in the sense of no two people will play it the same way, and I think that's very exciting. I think that's a very cool thing, because you don't tend to see that in other fighting games.
And the other thing is you have like predetermined kits that a lot of the the shared kits between different legends, it just depends on who you're facing, who you yourself are playing. It's the difference between who you decide to pick, where you may decide to go. I am very excited to see what these kits and maybe what these players have in store for us today.
And it looks like we may have an emoji pick early on here. It might be Imugi. I'm honestly not sure. But honestly, one of the cooler characters in terms of aesthetic at the very least versus Thea coming to the table here. So this could be fascinating because we look to see the style of which things are going to be played. And Imugi can bring to the table an axe or a greatsword, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to indicate a little bit more of that swordy style of play, maybe wanting to get closer into existence, because if you throw the item, you're not going to be able to keep it for long, if I'm not mistaken, with the existence there of Brawlhalla. So I'm curious to see how this play style will unfold.
I like the Thea. I'm a little surprised that we haven't seen one of the, I would imagine Imugi would play well against the Lord Vrax, but I don't know. I haven't seen this specific screen before. Can they see each other while they're selecting? That's one thing I never figured out.
Yeah, honestly, I'd love to know the answer too, because I'm not completely sure. This is a game that I'm definitely learning the difference between. But something I do want to kind of go out and take a shot here from my exposure to other fighting games is I'm getting the vibe early on of this is going to be a bruiser, a heavier fighter versus a speedster, a much lighter, kind of floatier character. And you've got to wonder if that's going to end up hurting this Amugi player because they're not going to be able to hit their shots as quickly, or they're not going to be able to strike as fast as Thea does. If you look at the speed comparison at the bottom there, Thea is significantly faster. So I'm really curious if that's going to come into play, because it seems like if Thea can play mid to long range, can stay out of the way of combat, they may be able to get some value there. But if they get too close to Amugi, it's only going to take a couple of hits to take them out.
The one difference is Amugi will have that, I'd say, advantage with a little bit more well-rounded overall kit.
Yeah.
Thea doesn't have as much on that front, which could be the difference maker here. The speed is good, but really nothing else is as spectacular as we see there for the Amugi.
We see Jin going on that attempt early on, but Amugi is playing decently well here in terms of this sword play. You see the speed difference early. Amugi is being caught out with a couple of faster strikes that they're not exactly able to imitate in moments of disaster such as these, but Jin trying to find that strike of their own, gets Amugi off stage, goes for the shot, not going to be able to make it back to ledge with a little bit of ledge guard. He throws the sword in a desperate effort, but it is Thea here. Jin with that first strike.
That's the real difference in ledge play. It's the lack of speed that can really cost you. If you're
Absolutely.
And I'm a little surprised they even got that far over. They almost did it again.
Oh no. Ooh. I fear they just set themselves up to be ledge guarded, but unfortunately Jin is going to miss it. That lance in hand, not able to find the strike. The axe from Amugi not hitting shots of their own either, with 7 minutes on the clock. A one-stock advantage already for Jin. App has to stay vigilant or they're going to get ledge guarded again. You can see Jin trying to set it up over and over.
It just seems like App has been a little bit more focused on that center play, but as soon as Jim forces him off, can App retouch? No. 2-0 already.
Oh, App, yeah, once again sent down to the void below, the great below, if you will. It's not the scenario you want to be looking at, but it looks like it is going to be the value found early on. Jin finding some great success here. I believe it is Jin from Mallard Creek Blue. Prod, feel free to correct me on that if I'm wrong. So Myers Park, we are trying to find a little bit of value here as App. Just not playing that heavier, playing that bruiser style character is definitely showing its lackluster value in terms of that ledge guard. I want to see App going more into that center stage gameplay, exactly like they are now. Better late than never. Amugi needs to make that difference, needs to take that action, that strike early on if they want to continue maintaining any form of value. But I think App's just in too deep. Oh my goodness, the jumps are able to make it. The spear does not take them out, but look at the distance on that. The knockback is absurd. The lance in the pocket, the sword in hand, the axe is up, goes to swing it down, gets caught out by Jin once more. Oh, and it's got to be over. There it is. Amugi not able to make it back. Thea with a beautiful victory there. I believe that is going to be Jinx from Mallard Creek Blue with a victory early on. This is a best of 3, however.
Yeah, I mean, you've got those 3-0 starts off early, though. That's the real problem point. Now, I don't know if with the VESL rulebook we play stocks lost carryover, which it would make
I
sense
don't believe so.
But even so, that's still 1-0 in a clean fashion. And these best of 3s can quickly go by if you're taken out that quickly. And honestly, credit where it's due. Jinx just kind of ran things down with how quickly they were able to own the edge. You've got a couple spear throws that really set things up, but it's something that in the back of your mind, you have to keep thinking about if you're trying to re-grab that ledge. You lose those opportunities a lot earlier, or if they're taken away from you, you have to, I'd say, actively play defense on a player who is actively playing defense.
Yeah, you know, I was going to bring up the idea of I wanted to see the swap here from the Amugi player because I thought it was going to be a little bit more beneficial. Now, swapping to Zariel, though, is going to be fascinating because she is, to my knowledge, a bit of a mid to close range fighter. The bow and the gauntlets both available. So closing in on Thea is going to be really risky. We saw that Jinx wants to play that close ledge game, and I think with this Zariel swap, you hit a little harder, your hits can last a little bit longer, but there's still going to be that risk in the back of your mind in regard to closing in too close is going to cause you disaster.
That's the one difference here, where you could see Jinx playing on that Thea is a little bit more comfortable, has the less well-rounded, I'd say, of the legends, but still seemingly has the mastery. And I'd say, they say one can be a jack of all trades and a master of none. It is right here. I feel like that is applicable. But Jinx, the master of the Jinx, or the master of the Thea, maybe a little bit more difficult to play directly against if you're on the other side of this, and that's what it seems to be, especially with the Zariel select.
Yeah, the Zariel, unfortunately, not a lot of great value early, but Jinx gets a little too overconfident, goes in deep for the elimination, not able to find it, and spikes off the map for it. This is a huge opportunity for App here as they were looking for that time to strike to put Myers Park on the board, and now they have been gifted a full stock advantage.
Hey, that's stock to start. The real question is, how do you respond if you're Jinx? That's how you can pick up the difference-making plays. In a fighting game such as this response seems to be a good start. App forced off again. I don't know if they made contact with the ground, but they are able to retouch.
Oh my goodness, Jin though just closes that window. Blink and you miss it. Jinx is going to be able to find a big opportunity early on, ties us up. And all of a sudden, has turned the game back around. Even throwing themselves off the map wasn't enough to lose that scenario, to lose that setup. And it looks like Jinx is just not willing to give that a try quite yet. Wants to stay alive. However, they may need to do so.
A little response from Zariel there, but as of right now, Jinx and the Thea does not seem to want to give up all that much ground in the middle of this platform. They're trying to edge guard as much as they can, but a miss there, oh, they are going to be able to immediately pick up that sword, just get their lance back. That could
oh, that's it.
Wow. Wow.
This is tough. I mean, we've definitely walked into a scenario where Jinx just has a master hold, a master class on this. Thea has clearly been putting in the work to play so, and it's this weird mid to close range edge guarding brawler that Jinx is so comfortable in playing. App's new character swap, new champion select has, unfortunately, I think, kind of put them to the curse of the numbers there. They're not able to get into that momentum like they want to, and they're just not able to do the damage Jinx is doing in return, especially with the Spire in hand. This Lance is making all the difference. It's the angles, into the throws, into the up shots, into the blast zone continuously. And there is another opportunity, though, apparently has tied us up 1-1 now on the board.
Hey, there's a realistic scenario where this goes to a third, but Jinx just, I mean, as the kids say, they need to lock in. You have the arguably better legend, especially for your playstyle. You've got a little bit more of a dynamic legend as well. But how quickly you're able to dispatch of the Zariel, if you can hold this edge guard, that could probably end it. Trying to get the sword, Jinx wants to get their lance back. If they can find it, they may not have to.
May not have to find it quite yet. A little bit of action now on the board. No value quite yet, though. There we go. Apologies, my stream lagged for a bit, but I am back now. 5 minutes on the clock, and I get back just in time for Jinx to seal that second game victory. Able to find a much closer run up there. I'd love to see a little bit more Zariel from Apparently in the future. I believe that maybe that could benefit them just a little bit more. Apparently Horizon not able to find the value they wanted, but it is going to be a great performance from Jinx there with a 2-0 victory.
Yeah, 2-0, and it just seemed like they were kind of running things from the start. A little bit more confident. It feels like back our first part of the domination game in Marvel Rivals. Really confident in clean game one, and then you move to the second, and you have some signs of weakness. There were some flashes of brilliance on the other side, but it just wasn't enough to kind of get you over that final hurdle of the actual round in your favor. And in that best of three, you end 2-0. 2-0 is 2-0, even with a 3-0 and 3-2 stock differentials between our two games. It felt like a little different in the later stages of that second game, where Jinx just wasn't able to lock down the side of the ledges, especially with the Lance not being in hand the entire time. But as soon as that Lance was back in pocket, they're basically playing with as much confidence as anybody can. And there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. It's what
very
say. And
very true.
Very confident. And I mean, now that they've won, they can move on to the arrogance side of things if they'd like.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to be swapping one of our players. So the way this is going to work out, we are going to see Jinx once again coming into the matchup here, if I'm not mistaken. So I'd be excited to see Jinx possibly go to a new swap. It appears maybe they're playing Scarlet versus Camster's Vivi. So two new champions brought to the table here. Let's see if Jinx can carry over that level of talent with this new champion.
So it does look like Jinx was from Myers Park, not Mallard Creek. So we may have had that swapped in game one.
No, I believe Jinx is from Mallard Creek.
Well, Mallard Creek isn't listed in the second game.
Yeah, my little
Jinx is Mallory
spreadsheet
Creek. Okay.
says
No,
Mallory Creek. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I'm looking at the wrong sheet then. Don't
All
mind me.
good. Oh, check out this Warhammer early, though. Jinx gets a beautiful combo onto Cam early on, but it's going to be those blasters from Cam who wants to play mid to long range. Not even able to do so. Jinx dominating even more so right now. My goodness.
Almost got that limiter on the side. Could have sent Cam just off the edge. And, oh, there you go. 2 seconds later, they do so.
Wish granted. Cam's still going to be available. Jinx looking for that opportunity to strike, swapping between the weapon juggle here. A beautiful play, goes into the high ground, looking for that center stage play. Cam, a lot of dodging right now, a lot of trying to sneak in last second, a lot of trying to find an opportunity when they're not going to be able to easily. And I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to keep up this level of play as Jinx continues to punish them for these overextensions.
It just seems like Jinx has been able to cleanly hold off the ledge as well. Even when they're forced off, they own the ledge play, regardless of which side of it they're on. Cam does shove them off, but Jinx back on the right side of things.
Almost had the down air, not able to find it though. It's going to be a great turnaround as Jinx's hammer loses momentum. Has to use the swing, the up attack to get onto stage, misses the ledge, goes up and over. Cam tries to find it, Jinx looks for a strike of their own, and I'm going to say Cam loses that first stock, but here in this second one is doing a much better job trying to stabilize. Unfortunately, though, just barely hits the blast zone and goes down to that third and final stock of their first matchup.
I mean, here, Cam looked like they were owning most of that fight. Just a couple missed opportunities to punish the issues that Jinx was having really cost them here, and that could be the difference maker in this first best of 3 of a best of 3.
Yeah, the second matchup could go to Jinx all the same, and right now they've got 3 stocks to try and prove it. That's got to be the third, right? Surely Cam can make it back. I forget how floaty characters in this game can be. Cam stays alive deep into the top blast zone. No value found. The lance into the hammer, into the blast zone, in to a 3-0 victory for Jinx. Currently 3 round wins in a row.
And Camster on that VV just didn't seem to have the damage output they needed.
They couldn't do any.
Well, the other thing is they had a decent bit of the speed, but Jinx on a similar type of legend was just the difference maker. Sometimes it does come down to the individual. Other times it's down to the legend they're playing. Here, maybe a healthy combination of those two. Jinx just seemingly owned it all.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Jinx, 2-0s the first matchup, 3-0s in terms of stocks in this first of second matchup. And this will be the last time we see Jinx tonight if they win this game. If they win this one 2-0, Jinx will walk away with a 2-0 victory, and then we will see Camster go head-to-head with apparently Horizon, who I'm excited to see come back into the fray if we're going to be seeing the same champion. If the Imugi will come back out, if the Imugi will make another appearance, I think it could be really beneficial. So it's all going to be about the cards, the games, and the numbers here. Let's see if Jinx can walk away with a 2-0 victory.
This time, it has to be a quicker response for Camster. Even before losing a stock, we saw Jinx punished previous time around without even gaining a stock. Here, a Thea swap. I hate to be the bearer of bad news.
Yeah.
But this one seems to be Jover.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, though. The Thea not as clean as what we just saw in that first matchup there. I mean, that was a really impressive performance with what it felt like a secondary character, but I'm almost more so convinced that Jinx may have brought out the main for the first matchup in this series.
Trying to show some individual prowess. Cam, the edge play needs to be basically spectacular. Lack of mistakes need to be on the cards. Jinx trying to live through this. Are they gonna, oh my goodness,
they're good, barely, but Jinx goes in for it. Wow, just express lane to the blast zone. Camster going to be taken down in that first stock already. This second matchup could come to a close in just a couple of minutes if Jinx can keep up this level of aggression. Goes from that mid to close range, throws the weapon to get the stock, and now goes full in brawler mode. Takes Camster off stage, misses the swipe in, has to go up instead. Not able to find the up air, but a lot of damage has been done already for the second stock.
More importantly, Cam just hasn't dealt any back even for a first stop. They've kind of been owned to start things off. And even with that somewhat close range gunplay they've got in their back pocket, they're not even landing the shots, as difficult as that seems to be said. It feels like we're back in Valorant where I just can't hit my shots.
Just nobody can hit their shots. We're just not able to do it. The value comes out quick here, though. You look for a lot of opportunities from Jinx. They're kind of playing, I'm not going to call it the same play style in terms of a negative format, but Jinx just has this scenario of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I cannot believe that that does not break at a time like that. My goodness, Jinx able to find off the top right blast zone. Camster down to their last stock.
Jinx has just been so quick getting back to the platform, forcing Cam to be ready for basically everything. And that couple of up air shots basically have ended things. Jinx is fairly low on their first stock in terms of the damage they're able to take before being sent off, but it may not matter. What a throw! Oh no!
Jinx completely undefeated, losing only one stock tonight, and it was the one they accidentally took themselves. I mean, that is just domination through and through. At a time like this, you've got to tip your hat to Jinx, a dominant player, a 2-0 win both times in both matchups they played today. Now we're going to have to go into Camster and apparently who are going to walk away 1-1, but 1-0-2. Apparently Horizon and Camster, time for them to go head-to-head.
It's a clean showing for Jinx here on our first week of Brawlhalla play. And really no mistakes apart from the tail end of that second best of 3 in the first best. How do we differentiate second round, I guess? Of the
second round of matchup number 2.
Yeah, that one just looked a lot better for Jinx. Not really showing as much weakness against a different opponent and showing their dexterity between different legends as well.
Yeah.
They were playing cleanly against that Vi. And here, if I'm Camster, I'm figuring out what do I now throw on the cards when taking on really anybody else? Because that was a glaring weakness of just not hitting what needed to be landed, especially close range. You cannot afford to give those away.
Yeah, I do not disagree in the slightest. I mean, when you play Vivi, she seems to be a close range kind of brawler style character, and you're getting out close ranged by your opponent. It's like, what do you do other than swap to something else? The Vivi pick didn't feel particularly confident at that time, and it's week 1. It doesn't have to be confident yet. That's the good news. You can continue to kind of try these new characters, try these new champions, and find some value with them one way or another. But regardless, I do think Vivi might want to try, Camster might want to try something other than Vivi going into this third matchup. Well, their second matchup.
Our third overall.
The third.
Did they play Vivi back-to-back there? I think they did.
Yes, it was Vivi both times.
Yeah, I don't know if the Vivi was the right selection from the start. Now, I don't know if they're watching the stream here or even if our stream has a delay. So if it does, that could be the main problem because if I was watching that back, I would not want to pick the Vivi-esque
I agree.
Composed legend, even against anybody for Jinx, much less the Thea back-to-back. But here, going into their final opportunity, I feel like this is going to be a little bit more of an even keel duel. Not only in terms of the specific legends selected, but in terms of their kits as well.
Yeah, the kits are going to be quite monumental. And I think it'll be really interesting because apparently Horizon here, if they go against Camster on the Vivi, that's another pretty fast close-range brawler. And Imugi just can't compete. Like he's very slow. He's very methodical. And if you go against these brawlers that are just relentless with their performance time and time again, I do think there's this notability of disaster of this variability of playing those heavier characters. And if you're not able to get those big hits early, you just might not be able to get those hits at all.
Especially when you're not able to kind of cycle stocks back to back to back.
Okay.
You're seeing two separate new legends, the Jaeyoon and the Tezca.
I love Tezca.
Camster on the Tezca here, fairly, almost a dead even stat bubble across.
Yeah, he's an all-rounder for sure, the Luigi of Brawlhalla, if you will.
But Jaeyoon's in the same boat. It feels like this is the complete opposite of where Jinx was just going for the speed. These two may see it as a more brawly, not Brawlhalla-y, but brawly matchup.
Yeah, so Jaeyoon is going to be coming in with the double sword weapon variability, so he's going to be slightly longer range than Tezca, who's got the gauntlets and the battle boots, so very close quarters, very up in your face, and I wonder if Tezca's very mild speed advantage is going to make a big difference here. Camster's going to have to get in, get aggressive, the playstyle they wanted to play, but Jinx simply wouldn't let them. Now we're going to have to see if Jaeyoon, or apparently here on the Jaeyoon, can answer back with the same energy that Jinx was able to, because if not, Tezca could run away with this.
If I'm apparently Horizon, I'm looking at this Jaeyoon like it has to get off well. Tezca cannot be forced or allowed to have the space to work early, and especially if I'm Camster, I'm looking at this as if an individual fight can be the difference maker in this best of 3. Now it is the first round of this best of 3. I feel like this could be where they kind of just feel each other out. Could be fairly even throughout, but it does come down to that late stock battle in this first round of play.
Van's finally coming through. We're going to be going to the small fortress of Lions here. It's going to be Camster versus apparently Horizon in our third and final best of 3 here for Brawlhalla, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a night here at VESL. But let's see which one of these players can walk away with a victory under their belt tonight, because unfortunately one of them will not be given that good grace. Ooh, great air dodge already from apparently it's going to be Camster trying to go in a little bit overzealous here on the height, looking for an opportunity towards ledge. Both players very calculated, very careful with their performance thus far. You've got to respect the ability they're choosing to take. Nobody wants to be the first to overextend.
And especially after that those previous couple of best of 3s, you know how deadly it can be when you're caught out. With apparently picking up the sword just to try and get more damage out, though, Cam has been the Jinx type in this round, where they've just been moving consistently across the board, maybe trying to avoid a lot of that early ground game fighting. They want to take this one to the air.
See, yeah, but Cam just not able to do so, and this goes back to what I was talking about. Jae-Yoon's slight damage advantage and being able to strike just a little bit further than Cam makes it a little bit harder to try and make that happen. This Tezca has to get up close, has to get aggressive. He's got those gauntlets out, and unfortunately, this sword style is going to make it really hard for him to do that. He needed another brawler brought to the table if he wanted to play this gauntlet style player well, but it looks like things are working really well right now for apparently. Let's see if they're going to be able to keep this energy up.
Apparently not really giving anything up either. Even on their first stock, they seem to be fairly healthy. If Camster can't get more damage out sooner rather than later, this second stock may fall by for them before they do anything in return. Look at the color of the health bar. Make it 2-0.
2-0 on the board here. That's going to be 3-1. It's going to be an unfortunate scenario.
Cam's just kind of been stuck in air and not of their own accord for most of it. Apparently sent them sky high more times than I can count, and they've capitalized off that aerial ability.
Momentum is the name of the game after all here. We're going to have to wait and see if this can be happening here. Tezca has a lot of time to turn it around, but Camster just not able to find it. Jae-Yoon's sword continues to make it so tough to get in. Then he has to air dodge in, gets punished for the air dodge on the other side. So it's this continued repeated behavior that Jae-Yoon, apparently Horizon, has picked up on, and unfortunately Camster just cannot find their way around it yet.
Camster, even on this third stock, has been so close to sending apparently off, but has not been able to finish what they need to. Despite the fact the sword's on the other side, it really won't matter. The obliteration there for Jae-Yoon and apparently Horizon. Camster, just really no response and caught out. Really no mistakes whatsoever for Camster, just punished opportunities for apparently Horizon.
Yeah, Camster unfortunately chooses that Tezca, which just plays kind of poorly into Jae-Yoon. It's that distance game again that I've referenced a couple of times. But going into this second matchup, I highly anticipate Camster to be switching champions. Who to? I really couldn't tell you. I don't know, but we could be seeing that swap come through. It's now or never, right? Because they lose this one, we're donezo. Uh-oh, it looks like TTL's mic may have shut itself off. We'll figure that out in a second. How about I just theorize a little bit more about Brawlhalla while we're waiting? I've got the champion list pulled up here. As I mentioned, this is a game that I'm still working on improving. It's a game that I've just recently been introduced to. And I've got to say there are a lot of fascinating champions brought to the table. From what I understand, we are seeing that scenario of Brawler. We've got some long-distance fighters. We've got some sorties in the middle, and it looks like Jae-Yoon into VV. That does make a lot of sense here. Camps are going to be going back to the tried and true, a much larger speed advantage, but my fear still steadfast. Now we've got the blaster to work with on the side of VV, but Camster didn't really use it. Went full boots to the ground last time, pedal to the metal, and wasn't able to get in on Thea. I'm afraid they're not going to be able to get in on Jae-Yoon either. I'm going to assume Time to Light is still broken for the time being. We'll give him a little bit of time to figure that out in just a minute or so. But let's see how far apparently Horizon can try and take this. Camster 19 on the VV. And it's going to be apparently Horizon on the JU, and the band's taking their sweet old time. And as of this moment, we very likely could end up back up at the small fortress. Oh, just kidding. Read my mind there. Not able to find it. So they are both ready for battle. The stage is about to be selected. Oh, no. Restarting stage select. Fascinating. Somebody may have banned something they did not mean to. Cam goes for the double ban early as they get the opportunity to ban maps. Or they ban 4 or 5 because they ban until 3 maps remain. That's a fascinating ban strategy. That's not one that I'm familiar with in other fighting games.
Hello?
Oh my goodness. Hello.
I'm gonna be so honest, I have no idea what happened. I didn't touch anything.
That is fascinating. No, your mic may have just broken. I'm not sure.
My headset. Wait, can we put us on cameras? Y'all want to know what happened 30 seconds before, or maybe, 7 minutes before we went live today? Look at this.
If even.
Look at this.
He's been having a day.
Are you kidding me, man?
He's been having a day.
Snapped. Okay, we're going back in.
All right, enough of your stuff breaking. If you could wait, I don't know, 10 more minutes, TTL, before you start breaking things. We are almost wrapped up here, and I don't get what's going on. They're doing stage bans for the 4th time. I'm not super sure if that's just like somebody's misinputting or if they really just cannot decide on a stage to play in mutual here, but as soon as they get this done, we will go into our last matchup, potentially, if apparently is able to win this Demon Island, Mos Eisley Spaceport, and Small World's End. I don't think we want to go to Small World's End here. I get that Vivi's a brawler, but apparently Horizon, his sword, no way, is going to take up the whole space. Okay, I'm surprised. I'm locked and loaded. Let's see what happens.
I mean, the swap to the Vivi, we're trying to go back to what we started with.
Back to basics.
Hamster, but the problem is, I don't feel like this is the stage to do it.
I agree. I mean, I get the mindset here that Cam needs to be up close and personal, that Camster wants to go in, get that damage early, and be able to find some great success. But I'm a little concerned that the sword is continuing to be mightier than the fist here.
The sword alone could end things. I mean, we saw it in the previous round of this best of 3. Similar basic setup here, and Cam basically fighting against
gets
himself.
Some pretty decent damage early on here. Not really taking any in return. Camster not able to find those momentum boosts that they've been looking for so consistently. That's a bummer. Cam does end up going down and apparently already up a stock here in what could potentially be the last matchup.
Hello? Can anybody hear me? Okay, we are back. I apologize. It looks like my mic has been troubling me more than I can handle here, Septilus. But Cam with a decent response. Couple up airs do land. But with Horizon on a couple occasions just landing the sword, Cam being forced off, I thought he was going to get sent down there.
I thought so as well. I thought a down air was inevitable at a time like that. There we go. Apparently should be able to make it back up with the wall jump sword boost, though, and it looks like we are going to be seeing the slice come through. The blasters finally making an appearance, and Cam ditches them immediately. I do not love that mindset. I do not love the repeated ditching of these blasters. You've got to try to use them because apparently wins the close quarters matchup. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody let me know if I'm wrong. Tweet me. I don't know. But this just feels like Cam is not playing the appropriate play style that we need to see for a level of success at a time like this. We need those blasters to come out more. We need the weapons to make a mid to long range difference. But finally, this VV gets in very late to the fight, takes that first stock off of apparently.
A couple air dodges for apparently, though, forced a lot out of Camster, and Camster's immediately sent off. Still the full stock advantage for apparently, not letting anything go by the wayside, while possibly being only up 1.
Apparently some really great damage rack up. We already see Cam taking a substantial amount of damage going into the remainder of this combat. We're gonna have to wait and see if the value strikes out for Cam to take apparently down to that last stock. Regardless, this is an uphill battle from here on out. Misses the air dodge, apparently has read these dodges so consistently. The spot dodge from one side to the other, just taking this player down with each and every strike.
And this is just credit to what we saw from Jinx in the previous 2 best of 3s. Both of these players really good in the air, but Jinx has just had that speed difference, albeit different type of legend. But oh no, mental error from apparently cost them that stock. Now Cam is fairly close to being sent off and ending our day here, but they're not as close as one may think. They're still in this. They just need to stick around.
Yeah, Cam. Wow, Cam getting a decent combo here. The down air into spot dodge into center stage combat, but unfortunately, the sword does tell mightier than the fist, and apparently Horizon will win in a 2-0, which puts them 1-1 on the day. Unfortunately, Camster keeps it close in our third matchup, but goes 0-2 for the remainder of our first day.
And apparently Horizon kind of owning the close battles there, making sure they also got those up airs a lot cleaner than what they had against Jinx. There were improvements for both. The VV of Cancer looked a lot better this time around, but you said it, just not using the blasters for that more longer range, or at least mid-range play. I'm a little surprised they didn't stick with it. It kind of cost them a lot more than they could recover with the close range fighting.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close scenario, but unfortunately, it just did not work out quite like they wanted it to. I will say that, hey, for my first Brawlhalla broadcast, I see the appeal. That was quite fun. That was a really intense game. I think we had some really talented players, and I'm very excited to see them next week. But time to light before we wrap things up tonight, my friend. Anything else you'd like to say about what we got to watch today?
I mean, overall, really good games all the way through, although it felt like a lot of them were slightly one-sided. There were flashes of brilliance from all the teams, it seemed. On Valorant, especially, Palisades Purple looked really clean, but NCVA needed to pick it up earlier. The second half could have looked a lot better for them if they started off well in the first. They weren't able to do so, is what it is. But Marvel Rivals, that's really where we saw how the team composition can bring what seems to be a large skill gap according to the ranks into a much closer difference, at least back on map 1. But here at Brawlhalla, it was basically everything that we needed to see, especially the different play styles on the different legend kits. That's really what I was looking for. That's what we saw.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learned from us and from the players we saw tonight, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing some other players in Brawlhalla next week. But folks, that does bring week 1 of the spring 2025 season here at VESL to a close. Now, lucky for you, week 2 does happen 1 week after week 1, so we'll be right back here, same time, same place, and we hope to see you then. Thank you all so much for watching. Check your posture, drink some water, don't forget to love each other, and we'll see you guys next week.